Hey, everybody. I'm so glad people came. I think we all forgot about this channel. I was just getting ready to say that swearing is encouraged here. I don't monetize, so I'm not really worried at all. Yes, Pig Jerry. Okay, so we'll just go right to it because it's late here. So Hidden True Crime, Lauren, she did an interview with Jerry Holeman. And he seems like real stoked that the gag order's been lifted, but he's only talking to people who have been very much pro-prosecution. Richard Allen is guilty the entire time. So maybe he will start talking to other people. I seriously fucking doubt it. But this was the most like mumbling, bumbling, bizarre, fucked up. And like, I'm not even really talking about Lauren. Somebody let me know if it's Lauren or Laura. I think it's Lauren. Not even as much her, although there were definitely questions, clarifications, better questions that could have been asked. Yes, Lauren, thank you. Like I just like have this whole list of things in my head that I would be asking Jerry if I got the opportunity to talk to him. And it just seemed like we blew past most of it, other than just, sit up here and explain yourself to people. And it's like all under this guise of transparency, but he's a fool, even bigger of a fool than I thought he was. Like if he would have just never spoke, it would have been a little different, but he's clearly a fucking idiot. And I hope that these interviews are getting downloaded and that he remembers. I mean, he even said at one point, he said, I'm sure that everything that I'm saying now is going to be, twisted by the defense. Well, sir, the things you say are fucking stupid. You literally can't help but make an absolute ass out of yourself and put it on full display in front of literally everyone. So we're going to start this. It's not a live. It is a pre-recorded from yesterday interview because he apparently can't do live shows. And she, in the beginning, makes a comment about how she forgot to tell him that she was going to ask him about that. I didn't tell you that I was going to ask you about that. So he already knew all the questions and determined what he was going to answer, blah, 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 and how he was going to respond. So we're just going to get right into watching it together. I've never reviewed anybody before. But as I said, I was feeling inspired by this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click play. I'm assuming you can see it, right? Oh, it was rehearsed. Dude, within like a minute, 2 minutes, within minutes, it was edited, chopped out, and late, whatever. Yeah, we can see it. Okay, thanks, DB. I was getting ready to say nobody's answering. Let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear the commercial?
Hello, Hidden Gems.
What the fuck? All right, could you hear her? Hidden Gems? Yep. Okay, perfect. All right. Oh, look, he's in a log cabin. That light is harsh. Oh my God. Welcome in, everybody. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but we're getting ready to watch it. And this is Jerry Holeman. He was like the lead investigator into the Delphi case, I guess. That is Lauren from Hidden True Crime. I linked this interview in the description. And we're going to review it. Oh, you didn't miss anything, Fiend. All right, here we go.
We have a very special program for you today because we have a very special interview. I am with the Lieutenant Jerry Holeman, who was a big investigator and figure in the Delphi case, in the murders of Abby and Libby. And you testified at trial how many times? So many times. At the trial in Delphi.
At the actual trial, I think I testified twice, but all the hearings leading up to it, I've testified multiple times at every hearing, I believe.
She's saying that you are boring as fuck, and it felt like you were testifying for days and years, when really it was only twice. But you fucked it up so bad that it felt like it drug on forever. T, if you want to come up, please tell me how to get you up here. This is. I would be even happier if you've not watched this yet and can come up and discuss it with me. You are in for a fucking treat, and we all miss you. Send you a link. Now, see, we're all gonna, everybody just hold on. Just hold on. Oh, I'm so excited. StreamYard. It's like a reunion. Okay, I've never, I don't know that I've invited anybody on. Teresa, I sent it to your messenger. I hope it worked. We don't really need to see them really much, but I'm worried that's not going to work because I don't know what I'm doing. Similar to Jerry Holeman. CH Holeman interviewing from the Weber garage. Teresa, I'm afraid to continue on because I don't know if that's going to work, but I see that she saw it. I just don't. Oh, hi, Teresa.
Ruthie, I miss you.
God. I miss you too. Where have you been?
Oh my gosh, life sucks, but that's neither here nor there. Jerry Holeman did a fucking interview.
Oh, dude, you're gonna love this. You haven't seen it. I'm so excited.
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't. So my household has the flu right now. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody. So I'm hoping that I haven't gotten it yet, but my husband and now the tiny one has it. So we'll see what happens.
Oh my God. I was going to say, this is like the least congested you've sounded.
I know. I actually, knock on wood, I actually feel good. I've been just taking care of other people and then my mom and so on and so forth. But no, I have not seen this. I saw you went live with a Jerry Holeman interview and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah. It's not me. It might have been a little clickbaity.
Oh, no. I know. I saw you went live to go over this interview. I said it wrong.
Yeah. Oh, this is good. I'm so happy you haven't seen it. This is so good.
Hi, everybody in chat. I miss you guys.
Everyone's been asking about you everywhere.
Oh, gosh, I know. I'm an asshole. It's just life has not been super easy. There's not enough time in the day.
I know.
I feel like I finally just got caught up with all the stuff from like sentencing and like the post interviews and like the investigator interviews. I finally had just got caught up with that, and then the house got the flu, and now here's fucking Holeman. What the fuck is he doing on a YouTube channel doing an interview?
Dude, so day one, like within hours, like when I say hours, I mean like 3 maybe. Within hours, he had interviewed with Murder Sheet.
Oh, he did an interview with Murder Sheet too?
Yes,
of course
yes,
he
ma'am.
did.
And it was like edited and whatever all they do to like edit it and then like posted like within hours of the gag order being lifted. Now here he is on YouTube on screen.
Who the
looking
does he
sheet white.
think he's a fucking star? What is he doing?
He does. He's real big in. He says he's real big on transparency. Teresa.
Oh my God! What a fucking
and also
bullshit.
he has nothing to hide. So here he is on only so far Hidden True Crime and Murder Sheet.
Can I make this shit up?
Dude, it's so good. I was gonna like skip through some of it, but like
you can if you want. I'll watch it later anyway too. If you want to skip through what you want to skip through, but because I haven't seen it, so I have no idea what he talks about.
There's nothing that's not absolutely outrageous. Like there's nowhere to skip.
Oh my God! All right, let's do it. I want to hear it. I
believe I testified to include this hearing, but at the trial, I believe only twice.
Only twice. Okay, it seemed like more, but then you also were a witness at the sentencing where we just attended, which I want to ask you about.
We are 50 seconds in and we're already chopping it up. Did you see that? Like we're already cutting shit out. Like 50 seconds and we're like,
I only did it twice. She's like, well, it felt like a lot more than that because you're a fucking idiot, and I felt like I had to listen to you forever.
Yep.
Out. We have so many questions for you, actually. So thank you for taking this time.
And we're barely going to ask you any of them.
With me and with Hidden True Crime, we appreciate it so much. And I want to start by thanking you for the work you did on this case. You have been with the Indiana State Police since 2001, and you also have a robust military career as well. You joined the Marine Corps right after school. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
So thank you. Thank you for your service. And, man, so many questions because you know and I know, man, the internet has been kind of like the wild, wild west when it comes to this case from the very beginning. And
she wasn't even covering the case at the very beginning.
Right? Jerry, though, has been following it all. I hope he's here.
He's been following all the social medias?
Dude.
What a fucking chump.
You know that he made a comment, so I got to know who he's talking about. He makes a comment about somebody putting his head on Shrek's body. I got to know who that was, and I hope it's one of my friends.
Was his head on Shrek's body?
Huh?
Was his head on Shrek's body?
Yeah, he said someone that they said that YouTubers or whatever are putting his head on Shrek's body.
I'm going to Google it.
I know. We got to figure out who it was. Nobody's done it.
I want to know who did it.
Ridiculous.
Really, what really matters the most, though, is that 2 little girls' lives were taken. But questions do surround the investigation. And there hasn't been a lot of answers for the public. And we're here because the gag order has been lifted. And so we have questions.
On a side note, I think he has a deviated septum.
Yeah, I very much have questions. Let's see if she asks any of the actual questions that have to do with the investigation and what he did to fuck it up. Let's see if she actually asked the legit questions. Or did she say so who styles your hair? Do you have like a barber, or is there like, do you use tissue or toilet paper when you blow your nose?
I have to say, like, she does stay very, probably more to the point of what she's here to talk about than I would, but also this is not live, so I don't know what all got cut out. But secondly, she says some pretty audacious things also. Like as time goes on, you'll probably you might know when we get there, but she makes some comments that are just, I mean, they both do, but you'll hear. She does stay on topic though.
And if that's okay with how you got involved in this case, take me back to February 14th, 2017.
It was unseasonably warm day, Lauren.
Bitch, you know they say that. You know he says that.
In case you didn't know, that's what happened back in February of 2017. It was an unseasonably warm day, and two middle school girls went out for a stroll.
In fact, he says maybe they went out to go meet somebody out there, or maybe they just went out because it was unseasonably warm.
We're never going to make it through this. We're never going to. I can't. I can't stand this guy.
We're going.
District Investigative Commander, or DIC, for the Lafayette Post.
He was a dick.
So I oversee all investigations that the state police is involved in. And we quite often assist other counties. So if we hear about something, we'll reach out to the sheriffs or investigators of those counties. And at that time, it was February 14th, and I was on my way to the Lafayette Post, and I heard on the radio, on the news, that there was 2 missing girls.
How is that when he found out about this?
On the 14th?
On the 14th via the radio news. How is that when he just found out about this?
He probably doesn't even know what fucking day it was.
I think he just lies like a rug. He
in
can't
Carroll
keep
County.
Straight.
So it was probably 8 in the morning. I reached out to Sheriff Lesenby at the time and asked him if they needed any assistance. And he said at that time they didn't. They had a large.
Like what? They had, so at 8 a.m. on the 14th, and they still hadn't found them, and they'd been gone overnight. They didn't need any assistance because they had random fucking citizens searching the woods.
Large a number of volunteers looking and searching the area that they were last saw. And I said, okay, well, if you need anything, let us know.
Where they were last saw.
And probably a couple hours after that phone call, I received a phone call from Captain Kirkham, who's now retired, but he was the Area 1 captain, was one of my supervisors at the time. And he said that they were requesting a helicopter and wanted investigators over there to find out what was going on. So myself and my sergeant, Steve Buckley, headed over there. I got there first.
You see all the editing? Like, I can't tell if stuff's been clipped out or if that's just like the rest of his soul leaving his body. I mean, what the fuck? She's looking at anything but him, Nelson. Anything but his face. His ghost white face.
I met with Tony Liggett and Kevin Hammond, and also spoke with the sheriff. And they said, well, we're just searching. We don't know what happened, and asking questions and things like that. So that was my first involvement in the investigation.
Real clear, Jerry. Real clear.
Okay. And
you see what Oksana said in chat? On Murder Sheet, he said that he'd heard about it the night before, but then was asked to assist the next day, and he arrived right before they found the bodies.
I'm not surprised at all. Like I said, he lies so much that he can't. But he either doesn't expect people to say something about the inconsistencies. I don't want to discourage him from talking because he's so stupid, and I think he's burying a hole or digging a hole. So I don't want to discourage him from talking, but I think he just thinks that like he's going to come command everybody to like listen to what he's saying. You know what I mean? Like I've been on this case for 7 years and 10 months. And it's like, did you just like compute that right before you showed up here?
Yeah, Lowlight said that there was a couple of cuts that she said there was a couple of cuts. They took a bathroom break and that Holeman refused any edits.
Oh, wait, are you talking about for Murder Sheet?
On here, I think. I don't know.
Oh, that's
I don't
total
know.
bullshit. That is absolute. I mean, I'm not saying it's bullshit from her. I'm just saying, or whoever said that. I don't remember who said that, but that's bullshit. And he was clearly, and she makes a comment about it, which I would have likely edited that out. Makes a comment about she didn't tell him that she was going to ask that. So he had like a list of questions that was going to be asked. None of this he's not being taken off guard at all. You know what I mean?
Oh God, no. No, because he knows that this is cushion. This is a cushion interview. This is going to be he's only going to talk to the people who he wants to be able to talk, that they're going to talk to him the way he wants to talk. He's going to refuse any hits because she's not going to fucking, I haven't watched the thing yet. She's not going to ask him anything worth anything.
It already had 2 hours in, it had 9,000 views.
Of course it did. Well, I mean, she's got like 100, a couple 100,000 subscribers as it is. And then, I mean, so they're just buying into this fucking narrative of somebody who didn't follow the case, who thinks that Richard Allen is some, sex addict and was going after kids his whole life.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that. I just people in the chat was like, I hope Mr. Holeman knows how much we appreciate him. And I thought, like, for what? What do you appreciate him for?
For all the investigative work that he did on this case.
Oh, well, let's listen to what all he says he did, because I'm here to tell you, it's like not what you think.
Always involved in the investigation?
Yes, I've always been involved in it for the last 7 years and 10 months.
Give me a fucking break.
We never left the side. It was at the bottom of the hill. Once the girls were located, myself and Sergeant Buckley got there rather early. There were some other officers there. We got the scene secure. And other officers were putting up crime scene tape and things like that. And then we had the opportunity to meet.
I don't really remember him saying previously to this that he was there, like, as they were setting up the crime scene tape. But like I'm thinking back to the people who were like first on scene, and I can't remember any of them saying
that Holeman showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't either.
Because like we know that Mullen didn't go. We know that, you know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to figure out like since when he was there, like right that second.
They don't ever refer to him being there.
Tony Leggett.
That's what I'm saying. I'll have to go back and look because I don't remember that at all.
Kevin Hammond. And at that time I said, hey, are you guys going to be the lead in this or do you want us to be? And I can't remember which one I refused to ask, but one of them said, you guys should probably be the lead. But the other one said, let's talk to the sheriff. And later Sheriff Lazenby came and he said,
if they weren't the lead, why is he always referring to himself as the lead investigator? Why is everybody always referring to him as the lead investigator? If they weren't even the lead.
Does he not say right now that they took lead or no?
Oh no.
I think, Saar County will be the lead, but will you promise to give us all the resources you have? And I said, yes, I won't. We will not leave you and we'll give you everything we have. The state police is a much larger organization. We have a lot more resources available to include our laboratory and crime scene investigators, and
which is also trash and has pedophiles working there, but okay.
Things like that. Public information officers, more detectives. So I said, yeah, we're not going to leave you. And I meant that, and we didn't.
The most affordable 12-month GLP-1 program,
that doesn't make any
with
sense.
The same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy.
He's saying that right when it happened, he said to whoever, who's going to like take the lead on this case. And
that doesn't make sense, though. ISP had to be the lead. Otherwise, how the hell is Carter telling the FBI they don't need him anymore?
I don't know. But he said
Lazenby would have to be talking. Lazenby would be the liaison then to be talking to the FBI because they'd all be assisting on Carroll County's investigation, on the sheriff's investigation. Not to mention, Lazenby doesn't even testify, and he technically would have been the lead investigator this entire time.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
You watched the press conference, didn't you?
No, I haven't watched it.
Oh, okay. So, and he makes reference to it here that at the press conference, Liggett makes a comment about how, they decided that they were going to be the lead as long as ISP swore that they were going to continue to give them resources and all that stuff and that they took the lead. I don't know. There's some weird fuckery going on here. It's almost like, okay, so we thought you were the lead this entire time. Why all of a sudden now, after sentencing, are we pushing away the idea that ISP was the ones that were the lead? I mean, Unified Command was like mainly ISP and like a rando FBI agent, and then like Tobe. You know what I mean?
Well, Liggett was around. But still, I mean, Tobe would have been, if they're saying that the county took lead, then this is Lesenby's investigation. Then all of it has to do with Lesenby. Carter would not be able to remove the FBI from the county's investigation. Maybe Holeman doesn't know that he was. Maybe Holeman doesn't know that he was supposed to be the lead. Maybe that's his excuse for the whole fucking thing. I wasn't in charge. It's not my fucking fault. Just like they said in the opening statements, they're going to tell you that it's not their fault. That nothing's their fault. They didn't do anything wrong.
They only want the praise. They don't want the criticism. They say that they can handle the criticism, but it's quite clear at this point. They made it a point to have victim impact statements that included pleas for Richard Allen to not file an appeal. Also, victim impact statements shitting on the defense team. Then you had a press conference where you, once again, took the time that you've had after 7 years and 10 months to shit on the defense team about things you don't even know about, and this dumbass says it here too about violating the gag order because they put shit in the Franks memo. And it's like, you guys, do you know how fucking stupid you sound saying that stuff that is in a legal pleading filed with a court is a violation of a gag order? You sound so fucking stupid. He sounds so dumb this entire 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 55 seconds.
How far are we into it? 5 minutes?
We are 5 minutes in.
Oh, fuck me. Okay.
Can I ask you at the crime scene what your first thoughts were when it came to maybe the type of crime this was? Is that fair to ask? I didn't tell you I was going to ask that, but
wait.
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't tell you I was going to ask that.
Yeah,
so you knew everything I was going to ask you beforehand.
Yep.
That's that.
Oh.
He's like, yeah, it's okay, because like multiple people have asked me that
type of question multiple times, and I think my answer is I was very angry that another human being could treat two human beings like that.
And I have to say, it is angering that a human being would treat another human being, let alone two children, that way. But he carried that anger into his arrest then of Richard Allen.
Yep.
Two young, innocent girls. I've been involved in many traumatic events, crashes, homicides,
causing suicides.
Throughout the years, and also a Marine for 8 years. So I've become a little bit compartmentalized, I believe, on traumatic events. So the actual scene itself doesn't haunt me,
which is crazy. So other people have said similar things regarding the crime scene and having reasons for why they're kind of desensitized to it, and they get ripped on. He has no problem saying that.
No, but that's okay, because his little lackeys will be, oh yeah, Holeman, he did such a good job. He's such a good guy. Look at him.
He's like losing more color as time goes on.
The anger outweighs all the other emotions
exactly. That's the fucking problem
that I may have, because I just don't understand how any human being can treat other human beings like that. So
you should really think about the way that you treat other human beings also, Jerry.
I was just angry
thinking about that makes me think of like Kyle Fortson's family. Like, how are they feeling about this fucking guy on here talking like this? Like, fuck you. That's how I feel. And I'm not even fucking related to him, but it's pissing me off.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Oh, that was the other thing in the press conference that you haven't watched yet. Carter 100% put the death of Robert Fortson on the defense's shoulders.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. But yeah, because ISP takes zero responsibility for any fucking thing they do.
Yep.
And God forbid Holeman be held accountable for anything he's done.
No one wants to talk about him walking away from Fortson, calling Nick McClelland, being told to say that the judge is going to hold this man in contempt, though she had no jurisdiction to do so, and then him going back like the fat fucking terrorist that he is and telling him whatever he told him that had him so much in a tizzy that he felt like the only way to get away is what he did. That is pathetic. But you should listen to him, though, when he says that he was just really angry about the way that people treat people.
Yeah, CH, I did see that he got sent back to Westville.
It was going to be a very tough investigation because of the location. It's out in the middle of nowhere.
Not really. It's like on somebody's private property. It's like not really the middle of nowhere.
There wasn't going to be a lot of witnesses. And it turned out there wasn't a lot of cameras around. Or a lot of evidence.
But there were cameras
that we could follow up on. So
there wasn't a lot of evidence that we could follow up on. Yet there's loads of
unfucking tested evidence. Oh my God, I can't.
Exactly. Including hair in the kid's hand that didn't get tested till we picked a jury.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to sit here and listen to this whole thing. This guy, we're 6.5 minutes in and he's a fucking joke. I'm probably screaming. Sorry.
No, you're not. I'm going to keep going.
I knew it was going to be a very
it gets so much
intensive
better.
investigation. It's going to labor intensive investigation. It's going to take a lot of old fashioned detective work. That's kind of what my first thoughts were.
Sir, take several seats. Please.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And we're going to get into, honestly, well, let me say this first. There was something that you said before we started that I want to share, and that is that you said you have nothing to hide.
Huey's part.
You have nothing to hide. And
so take a drink. Take a drink. Every time there's a lie, take a drink, Jerry.
He has nothing to hide, Teresa.
Bullshit.
We'll see.
With that, thank you for that. And
thank you for what? Because you have nothing to what?
I want to go through all the different scenarios of possibilities with this crime, from
why are we going through different scenarios, possibilities of this crime when you've just convicted someone of killing them in the way that you're claiming that they killed them and nobody else was involved? What other scenarios? Why are we going through scenarios? Or is this just, this is really just, Jerry, I'll give you a platform so that you can tell the world to fuck right off and that you did investigate and you're a good boy. That's really all this is.
It's such a good job, Jerry. Come here, let me pet your forehead.
Odinism to Kagan to, the
oh my
landowner.
God, we can't even get through a question.
But where did your mind go to? What type of person did this? Did you think right away ritualistic crime because of sticks, or did you think that this was like a sexual motive, or where did your law enforcement brain or military brain take you when you were assessing this crime?
Initially, I think I and a lot of others thought it was a failed sexual assault and maybe a kidnapping attempt. And just because of the way the girls are found, one completely naked, the other had clothes off and put some others on it. And so I think that's where my mind went.
So immediately he thinks one doesn't have clothes on, the other one has some clothes taken off and clothes put back on. So automatically, right at the crime scene, he thinks failed sexual assault.
Yep.
Why would he think it was failed if one is nude and one has their clothes off and somebody else's fucking clothes put back on?
Exactly. And an attempted kidnapping
he's just gonna try to spin everything he wants it to be now versus anything he truly actually thought at that time. He's a lying piece of shit.
Yep, correct. Look at that face. He's so transparent, Teresa. He's disappearing in front of our very eyes.
Yeah, like you said, that was the last of his soul leaving his body. I just don't get that. Doesn't make any sense. One was naked, One was was undressed and put in others' clothes. So I thought failed sexual assault. That was my first thought. But somebody wanted to sexually assault these girls. They didn't get to do it. That was my first thought I had.
I always thought it was.
Let's be real. Like, he can't actually say what he thought it might have been. You know what I mean?
Oh no,
Like,
yeah. So I'm like, he's never going to tell the truth because he can't go back and he cannot go back and say any of that verbally on the record ever.
Well, he does say some dumb shit though.
Well, he's a dumbass, so that doesn't surprise me.
He does. He's still a little hung up on Keegan, which is super interesting. But wait till you hear. Well, I'm sure you'll say something about it, so just hold on. That's what he thought.
One person, but I didn't want to put blinders on, so I kept an open mind and thought maybe it could be multiple.
Sir.
But as the investigation went on, it was clear to me that one person was capable and did do this. So the odinist, the ritualistic killing thing.
Are you drunk? The ritualistic? Yes, this is real.
I never believed that. Our crime scene investigators told us early on that the blood on the tree was blood spatter, that it was not initially painted on there or put.
So wait a second. So you motherfuckers stood at the crime scene and one of the investigators was like, oh, in case this ever comes up, I'm here to tell you that design on that tree is absolutely spatter. It is not somebody painting on the tree with blood, number one. And number two, then we finally get to trial, and whoever this is that he's talking about, his expert, which is a cop. That's what it's just a cop. Didn't testify, and you all had to hire a blood spatter expert in February of this year.
Yeah, nobody testified. No, not one person came on there and testified saying we found this blood around the tree, and it immediately we knew it was blood spatter. And I'm pretty sure there were people who were trying to get them to hire a blood spatter expert, and they said no.
Yeah. So what blood splatter expert? Like, why wouldn't that person have testified? Because this whole conversation didn't happen. Because if it did happen, then they would have to make then now you have to make an excuse for why we then went the odinist path anyway. If we thought that was totally unrelated and it was just blood splatter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Put on there, you could tell the difference.
Oh, sure.
They could. I mean, you and I maybe not, because that's not our specialty, but our crime scene investigators at the time, Jason Page had.
Jason Page. Didn't Jason Page testify?
Yeah.
When did he say that he was an expert in blood spatter?
He didn't.
That was what it was. Oh, I didn't think so.
Plenty.
But see, he could say shit like this because people didn't see the trial. Know what I mean?
Yeah, but how dumb is it for him to say stuff like that when he actually did sit in there the whole fucking trial?
Well, because he's not, he's speaking to people that have not seen the trial and just will believe him. That's why.
Get training in blood spatter, and I would say he's a blood spatter expert. So he was saying that wasn't a symbol.
What? So he just randomly was like, hey, you see that right there? That is blood splatter. It is not a symbol.
But again, we didn't rule it out. The sticks.
Oh, but it might be a symbol.
To me, look like just sticks randomly put on there with no purpose, and that's what our.
Well, we know you're a fucking moron, so that's not surprising either.
Yeah, that's entirely audacious.
Yeah, but yet he's the one who. But remember, he's the one who made sure to go talk to the Purdue professor. So he's right now. He's saying that everything initially at this crime scene did not speak Odin. That nobody thought it had anything to do with Odinism or any type of ritualistic anything. So once again, my question will be, why did anybody start investigating ritualistic shit then?
Exactly.
If everybody there agreed, all the investigators, the crime scene analysts, everybody there agrees that it's not ritualistic, it's not any of these things, then why the hell do we go talk to anybody about Odin to begin with?
Exactly. And buy books and seek out a professor. Like,
yeah, and look for and use search warrants to try to find books in Ron Logan's house.
exactly. Wait, do you hear what he says about Ron Logan? Dude, this gets like worse / better the more you go. He also makes a comment about how he investigated that angle, the Odinist or whatever, for months and couldn't find any evidence. And it's like, but he was cleared like 2 weeks after, like Brad Holder himself was cleared like 2 weeks after the murder. So like, what were you doing for months? He even says here that like Click, Ferenczi, and Murphy weren't the only ones that were investigating all that time. So we're talking all the way plumb into like 2021 or 2020. He says he was too. Well, then why were you like, you didn't believe it? Why were you investigating for 3 years into Odinism stuff?
Like he's saying at the beginning, he's saying like, I was trying to keep my, like my, what did he say? Like he wasn't going to be closed-minded, essentially. CVP says they followed the Odinist trail until it ended. I think that's my issue here, CVP, is he's saying no, they didn't. She asked him about his initial thoughts when he was at the crime scene. And they're talking about what he very first thought of when he was at the crime scene and how the crime scene investigators told him that the blood on the tree was not a symbol or anything that was written on there, that it was blood spatter, and how he thought that it only had to do with the sticks, only had to just be, they were just random sticks.
Right.
So my question then is how do they go from saying right there at the beginning of everybody who's at the crime scene, nobody thinks it's ritualistic, then why did they even start investigating it to be ritualistic?
Right.
If he's saying initially at the crime scene that day, nobody thought it was ritualistic. And you couldn't have watched it live because it was pre-recorded.
Yeah. Yeah, this was not live. It was pre-recorded, and we're watching exactly the same thing right now.
This as well. So I didn't believe it was realistic or ritualistic.
Realistic.
But again, we weren't going to leave any stones unturned. So we did a thorough investigation, did research on that.
But why? That's my point. Why?
Automatically, yeah.
You just go, let's just check and see if we think it might be ritualistic, just for shits and giggles. Why?
CVP.
What made anybody there go, let's look at this as a possibility? He won't admit it.
It was not a live. It was a premiere. We are watching it currently on her channel right now. And at the end of it, she says that it was recorded on December 27th. So, well, now it's the 29th. But when it premiered and you got to watch it with the rest of us, it had happened 24 hours prior to that. So it was not live.
Analysis units, professors, people that specialize in those types of investigations, and they were telling us that it's just not realistic that it would be, because if it was, there would be no doubt.
What?
If it was ritualistic in nature, there would be no doubt that it was ritualistic in nature.
What?
It would be so obvious that it was, but we
like
it'd be so obvious.
So what does that mean? Like pentagrams, like, written, or like, I can't even think of what is he even talking? What is so
I don't know.
obvious?
It'd be so obvious that they wrote letters on the trees.
Well, then she should have said, "Can you give me some examples?"
Yeah,
like, would there have
she
been
does. It's not going to do any of that.
No, like, would there have been a note that said this is ritualistic?
Anybody would come and say, "Hey, I think it's this. Can I look into it?" Yeah, go ahead.
People did, though. People did exactly that.
And then you didn't want to look at any other information.
But exactly. No one could ever prove that it was some sort of ritualistic killing. Now, because Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall were involved.
Isn't it funny that those are the only two names that come to mind?
In Norse paganism religion, some people jump to a conclusion that that's automatically what they do. Well, that's just not true. And I had no clue about those religions back then, but doing research and being updated on that's it's a religion. It's not a cult. It's not a gang.
So please
Oh
tell
my
me exactly
God.
what odinism is in all of your research, Jerry.
Oksana said that on MS. He said that they took years to disprove the Odin element.
Yeah, he says it here too. You'll see. I mean, he talks out of both sides of his white, pale face. He says that they spent, like I said, all the way through when Click and that, he's like, Click and Farron and Murphy weren't the only ones that were looking into it all that time.
Wait, has anybody here done any research on Holeman? Isn't Holeman the one whose dad used to be a correctional officer?
Yes. He said it in Murder Sheet's podcast that he did with them. Is that not he wasn't just a correctional officer, he was something else. He was like the director of. Jerry's not in the chat. If he's in the chat, if it was the actual Jerry, I'd be sending him a link.
Yeah, whatever. He won't answer any questions like that. And so, hold on. Because the whole thing with Odinism, when we did all this research on it too, I mean, obviously it goes back, like Asatru goes back super far, but the big thing about it becoming this quote unquote religion was because it was a cult-like atmosphere, and they wanted to be able to have their meetings in prisons, and they went to get it deemed a religion so that they could actually have their meetings while they were in prison. So he's like, it's not a cult, it's not a this, it's not a that, it's a religion. So I mean, yes, and I know that there are people who are like who follow it as a religion. I'm not saying that there isn't, but what I'm saying is his dad was one of the ones that was like in the prison system, working in the prison system during that time. He actually would have been one of them that would have known the fight about Odinism and becoming a religion, so they could have these meetings.
Oh, true. Yeah, you're right. I forgot, and that was like not far in the past,
right?
Where that happened. He's just, well, I guess that's what he's using it for. I guess he's saying, they are a religion. They're seen as a religion. You know what I mean? He's a jackass. It gets so much better, Teresa.
We pretty much ruled it out.
We pretty much ruled it out right the fuck away, but we still investigated it for multiple years.
Kept an open mind.
Because we had
that's what it is, open mind.
Initial thought on that.
Lieutenant Holeman, something that you said before, and you actually said in trial, is that you left no stone unturned in this investigation, but if there was probable cause, you move forward. So are you saying that you absolutely did investigate this sort of ritualistic killing scenario and there wasn't probable cause, or how would you explain that?
Get a load of this.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good explanation. We had tips on numerous different people not related to ritualistic killings, and some that people thought were involved, like I said, in that religion, and basically just didn't know what the religion was about. But yeah, we looked into those people.
Oh, so he's like accusing folks of what is it, profiling? Oh, they practice this like weird religion, so we think they might be guilty. Like, is that what he's saying? That really that was the only reason they didn't understand what they were practicing, so they assumed that they killed children.
You say like they continue to investigate it, but according to them, Brad Holder, who he says Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall, Brad Holder was cleared within a couple of weeks. And Patrick Westfall, they only went and knocked on his door just to see, like, hey, what do you know? Oh, you don't know anything? Okay, great. And we won't talk to you again for another 7 years. Have fun, Patrick Westfall. Like, we investigated what did you do to investigate him? You didn't even talk to him. And the one cop that goes back and talks to fucking Holder does it off the record. And the only reason anybody finds out about it is because Holder tells people that he was talked to again. And then they're like, oh, we were just doing Odin research.
He was an expert, a subject matter expert. We wanted him to tell us if there might have been runes there, but nobody believed it from day one, minute one. We didn't believe it, but we needed a subject matter expert who would just happen to also be someone that was called in as a suspect multiple times.
But like, it doesn't make any sense. We thoroughly went through and we investigated all of these different people who were brought, because Brad Holder's tipped in multiple times, Patrick Westfall, so on and so forth. These people are tipped in. We investigated them, and then she's like, "Oh, so what you're saying is there wasn't enough probable cause?" Well, no, you didn't fucking investigate investigate them. You never served any of the search warrants on their houses. You never served any of the search warrants on their phones. You didn't invest. This is my issue with this fucking guy. There was no investigating.
Dude,
he said, no, it's not this. And that's how it was.
He is so stupid. Like, he basically admits here, they're going to keep saying about probable cause, and then he's going to use Judge Gull's direct criminal whatever he says, nexus or whatever. He uses exactly the same phrase she used. Like, he uses it repeatedly now, because now that she said it, like mommy said it, so now I could keep saying it, and that's going to be my excuse for most of this. But like, if I was interviewing him, I would have said, so you didn't have probable cause for any of these people, right? Which is what he's getting ready to say, is he had no probable cause, like, to arrest or look into any of these people.
But there was enough probable cause to get search warrants for phones and houses that were never actually executed.
You failed to execute. So even when you had probable cause, you still didn't go follow through.
Right. He
literally goes on like the only person he could come up with probable cause for was Richard Allen. He says he couldn't even come up with probable cause for...
He didn't even have probable cause for Richard Allen. That's why he kept him from the 26th. And then they came up with some probable, quote unquote, probable cause by the 28th. Otherwise, they were going to have to release him after 48 hours. And he wasn't going to do that.
Dude,
so there was no probable cause on the 26th. That's why there's no arrest warrant for the 26th.
Right. The threshold for probable cause is literally like as thin as a piece of fucking paper. There's nothing to it, like literally. So for him to sit here and say there's not enough probable cause, just the stuff that's in the Franks memo that all had exhibits, he can sit here and run his mouth and say that there was lies in the Franks memo. But I'm here to tell you that once the appeal comes, all the exhibits that were attached to, except maybe the crime scene photos, but all the rest of the exhibits are going to be in the appeal. And then we'll all be able to tell, like, for ourselves if it was actually a lie. But I don't know, apart from Jerry Holeman and like Doug Carter and co. And keep in mind, this man right here is the man that Superintendent Doug Carter said he would crawl across hot coals or hot shards of glass. Now, that's what it was. He would crawl across shards of glass for Jerry Holeman. He is not a liar. I forgot you haven't seen the press conference.
I haven't seen that.
So this is who he was talking about. And so I feel like if I were doing this interview, I would say, oh,
that's a great way to prove the point. Great way to prove the point that you'll do anything to cover up the mistakes of your fellow fucking law enforcement agents. Great. Good job.
Yeah. I have one question. My one single question would be, if all of these individuals were cleared, including one who mentioned that he may have spat on the girls, which he came up with an excuse here as to why. Wait till you hear that part.
Okay.
Of course, unverifiable, per usual. But I would say you cleared all these people, including the one that said he spat on girls and admitted to being there on the bridge and also before the girls were found. What was Elvis's alibi for that day?
I hope that he actually says what they did to clear him.
No. No. Nope.
Just that he cleared him.
Yep. But wait till you hear. He says, well, he said if his spit was found on one of the girls and he had a good explanation, would he still be in trouble? And the explanation was, I'll let him tell you. It's preposterous. Makes no sense. He was not at the hospital in Muncie because phone records showed that he was not there.
His phone was at home.
Yeah, neither was the other one. He said he had his
phone. The hospital says he wasn't there. None of them were.
Yeah.
Multiple different people. And the only person that we established probable cause to make an arrest on was Richard Allen.
Well, then you suck.
The rest we didn't. And we're not going to falsely arrest somebody or falsely accuse people without establishing probable cause.
Absolutely not. This motherfucker right here let Murder Sheet go on and on about Keegan Kline, had the families themselves thinking that Keegan Kline was about to be arrested for murder. And he had nothing to do with it, apparently. But yet he still seems a little bit sus on Keegan.
That's just not what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So
you do
we
it
looked
all the time. You
into,
do it all the fucking time. Just because you say it
like
doesn't
you
mean it's
started
true.
to say earlier, the property owner, multiple people, and we served multiple search warrants on people and people's property, and again, nothing came back to establish probable cause on those people. So again, we're not going to have tunnel vision, but we're also not going to falsely arrest somebody.
Yeah, no.
No matter who you are, there are times it can be tough to be
Why did
yourself.
she bother to ask him anything right there?
Okay.
She like basically asked no follow-up questions. Just the questions lets him answer. That's it.
Okay. So in other words, I think I just want to like kind of process that with our listeners too, that there was a base, there was an idea, there was an investigation into could this be ritualistic? And the bottom line is you went through the evidence, you assessed, you investigated. Was there any hiding at this time of information or evidence when it comes to this?
What the fuck does that even mean? Was there any hiding of evidence or information when it comes to this? What does that even mean?
It's a stupid question.
I'm bringing up all of the theories online, you know.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, none whatsoever. We looked into them.
Yeah, he's going to be like, yeah, we hid evidence, lots of it.
Yep, we totally were hiding evidence. We absolutely hid evidence from everybody, and
there's no evidence indicating that those.
But shh, don't tell anybody.
Those people.
Oh, you have to cut that out, ma'am.
That practice that religion were involved, or anybody that in the evidence at the scene just wasn't strong enough to indicate that was a ritualistic killing.
But it was strong enough to know right out the gate that it was a failed sexual assault and possibly a kidnapping gone wrong.
Yep.
You know,
which happened to then 8 years later be exactly what they're claiming that it was. You got it right away, Jerry.
To prove that.
Wow.
I was actually gonna try to go in order here. But since we're on sort of what you're talking about, what about this idea of another person confessing, or the possibility of someone else saying, my DNA is at the crime scene? I think you know who I'm talking about.
Just say it, Elvis. Elvis Fields.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody saying
we already had. Did you see that? We already had to whatever it is that he said.
That if my spit's at the crime scene, but I can explain that away.
Wait till you hear this.
Doesn't mean that's a clue that we need to go back and talk to that person again. And that person was interviewed multiple times by multiple different people. And his explanation was he wanted to know, if I spit on the ground and someone scoops that spit up and takes it to a crime scene, would you be able to tell that? That was
what? That is not what happened.
So when he said, if my spit's on one of the girls, but I could explain, and he also said that he was there with the two girls on the bridge when they were killed. He said that the reason that he thought that was because I guess he spit on the ground somewhere and thought someone would scoop it up and go dump it at a crime scene on top of two dead girls. Are we supposed to believe that? See, he's trying to provide an explanation for the comment because he doesn't have an actual one. And that was a terrible, terrible, terrible explanation.
Not to mention when Murphy was on the stand during the hearing, not the trial, but during the hearings, and he was talking about that comment, and how he, one of the things that he most regrets is not like bringing Elvis back in and questioning him further. Nobody on the prosecutor's side was like, so did Elvis say, like, if somebody took my spit when I had spit on the ground and transferred it like over to the crime scene with one of the girls, is that what Elvis really said?
Exactly.
Nobody brought that up to Murphy. So now everybody's just going to buy into, well, Holeman said this is what Elvis said.
No,
Holeman wasn't even fucking there, and nobody questioned Murphy on that whatsoever.
And also the last thing that any of us know about Elvis and this whole debacle was when in 2018, when he lawyered up and they called and wanted him to take a polygraph, and the lawyer said, absolutely not. which I've always said is reasonable. Apparently Jerry throws out there into the world in here that he like asked Richard Allen to take a polygraph multiple times and he refused. So that's supposed to mean something, but it's not supposed to mean anything when Elvis refuses. But he said, so the lawyer was like, no, he's not going to do that. And the person that had called, the law enforcement that called, said, well, if he's not going to do that, then we're not ever going to be able to rule him out as a witness or a person of interest. And then hung up the phone and wrote that he was cleared. So when did he say this? What with Jerry? When was that comment made? That was the most ridiculous explanation. And I would expect a law enforcement officer, if that was the explanation, I would have expected you to hound that person and tell them that makes no fucking sense. That makes zero sense. That is not what you meant. Otherwise, you wouldn't have also put yourself there. Like, he's so stupid. He's saying that, like, there's no nexus and we can't, whatever. I'm just going to keep going so we can get through it.
An explanation.
And
that person had never been to Delphi. We could never put that person into Delphi.
He fucking said he was there, but okay.
Not to mention that he was also doing the pig farming with what's his name, Chrisman.
Yeah.
Out of Delphi. And Chrisman supposedly has said that he was with him on those trips and they paid him under the table for it.
Yeah. And where's the pig farm?
And he's now saying that Elvis has never been to Delphi. How the fuck do you know that Elvis has never been to Delphi? He just says shit.
Yep.
I think, again, probable cause goes along.
Dude, probable cause is really easy. Teresa just made it right now.
Long way, and you can't just
go a
say
long way.
Because this person knows this person that knows this person conspired to commit a crime.
That was a really dumbed down Jerry Holeman version of the connections that were made between these people, because it's not just a so-and-so knows so-and-so knows so-and-so, knows Teresa's third cousin 7 times removed. So they must have conspired to kill the girls, because it's like, it was not like that at all.
You can't put them together. They don't know each other.
You can't put them together.
Just because
they do
one
know
knows
each other.
somebody kind of, sort of, and that person knows another person.
No.
There's no proof or evidence indicating that they were in some sort of club or organization.
What? So the Vinlanders is no longer a club nor an organization. It wasn't in 2017. They're not wearing matching shirts and shit.
Or the fact that Brad Holder and Patrick Westphal literally say they were friends.
They literally talk about being in the club. I don't have it available right this minute, but I'm sure there's clip upon clip upon clip of Patrick Westphal talking about his club. The Vinlanders club.
And the fact that he's the one who took the club. He took the patch from Westphal. Or Westphal took the patch from Messer.
Yeah.
But they don't know each other. Just because somebody says this person knows this person who knows this person doesn't mean they actually know each other.
They're also not in a club nor an organization. It's just a religion. It's like saying that any Catholic in one state, somebody else might be Catholic, but that doesn't mean that they're connected. That's how far he's trying to dumb this down to make it irrelevant. It's not. This he did himself zero favors.
Or cult or gang to do that. So we investigated that very thoroughly.
Really, what'd you do to investigate it, Mr. Holman?
Kevin Murphy, and before Greg Ferenczi was brutally murdered, all those people were looking into it, and other investigators, me included.
What?
Oh, you included?
Him included.
You included? What'd you do?
Years.
What'd you do? What'd you do to look into it?
You think she'd ask that?
We were looking into that very thoroughly. And
very thoroughly.
Yeah. The bottom line is there was no connection, no direct criminal nexus.
Did you catch that?
No direct criminal nexus. Okay, goal.
Yeah, mommy gave him
and that group of people that, in my opinion, the defense came out and falsely accused. I mean, we looked into it and covered those.
No, I don't think they did falsely accuse them. And if they did, it's your fault for fucking up the investigation so bad that it left them wide open to continue to be accused.
Well,
maybe you should have done your job.
So he's saying like that Murphy and Ferenczi and himself included all investigated this, but the bottom line is that there was nothing there. So why is it that then Murphy and Click, who are the ones that are left out of that little trifecta, why are they testifying on behalf of the defense saying, we believe there is a nexus. We believe that there is a connection between these people. When did it end? When did this investigation into these people end?
Right.
When did Holeman actually find the evidence to clear them? This has always been my issue with this Odinist side of things is, where did you clear them? What did you learn that cleared them? Clear them then.
Also, remember this. He said, so if you remember the Goldilocks phone, that was in 2023. It's almost 2025 now, but that was in 2023. After Holeman did all of this, whatever investigation he's talking about, and he was called to go get the Goldilocks phone, which was a reference to a phone owned by Johnny Messer. And he said that he would collect it. Why would you collect it if he was totally ruled out and it was considered irrelevant? And then on top of that, why didn't you collect it? And why did these people, and by that I mean like the defense, and I mean Click and Murphy, like why did everybody else but you, Jerry, think that it was important enough to go collect that phone? If like, does he think that Click and Murphy are just still like wasting their fucking time? Like that they, for whatever reason, are just like so hung up on that. Like, I'm not understanding where he's thinking that.
Well, that was my whole thing too, is that when Click goes in to meet with them, we know when Brad Holder's in the lobby when he's leaving, when he goes in to meet with them, Click says that they never told that, they asked him to come in because they were going to tell him, everything that had happened and why there was more evidence against Richard Allen than against these other guys.
And to bring everything he had.
Yeah. And he says he goes in there and that they don't tell him anything. They just end up asking him all the stuff that he has. If you did all this other investigation, even after Ferenczi died and this task force is no longer, working, they go and they do all this other investigation to clear these folk. That would have been the perfect time to be like, Click here. Like, this is why it's not them, dude. Like, I know that you thought it was them, but this is everything we've done from that point for when you guys were here to now to show that it's not them.
But why did Holeman need everything that they had ever collected on these people?
Because he knew it was going to the defense team.
Exactly. Well, I think it was just a matter of, surely he's not so fucking stupid, which I'm really questioning at this point. But surely he's not that stupid that he thinks that like Click brought his only copies of everything and was going to give it over and then be like, ha, gotcha.
Well, no, but they probably tossed everything they had. They probably didn't have it anymore. They'd lost it, just like they lost every fucking thing else. And so they were like, shit, now the defense team has all of this. Let's go.
Have to know what they know.
We don't even know what they have now. So bring us everything you brought the defense team so that we can relook at it and we can go over everything we know about Richard Allen with you.
We want to know what you know.
We want to know what you know. That was all it was. Like people who buy into this fucking guy, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel sorry for them. This is who that the state of Indiana has to, this is the type of person that is entrusted to be a lieutenant with the Indiana State Police, and that people believe him. I can't.
Mm-hmm. He's a tyrant. You shouldn't want him investigating anything at all.
Thank you. Yeah, and we mentioned the property owner, Ron Logan. I'll just say his name.
No
still to
to
this
him
day,
either.
people say, "Well, I think it's him. I think it's him." Police searched his house, and you're saying, as far as probable cause goes, you could not tie him to this crime. Is that correct?
That is correct. Several search warrants on him and his property, and there's no direct nexus to him.
Bitch, he lives on that property, motherfucker, and his phone was literally near the crime scene. What are you talking about? Didn't he confess in jail too? I'm sorry, but didn't he confess while he was in jail?
According to his cellmate, he confessed.
Well, it's good enough for Richard Allen, then it should have been good enough for him too.
No, you think so, but
No.
That's not how it works.
Him being involved either. He had an alibi.
He did not have a fucking alibi.
It was tight, Teresa. He said it was tight.
He did not have a fucking alibi.
Wait a minute. He actually made like a, this is an iffy alibi face, but then said it was tight. Let me see. What are we? 15. I hate trying to do this. So 15. We'll go right here. Watch this.
And there's no direct nexus to him being involved either. He had an alibi. It was tight.
What? You just said two different things. Your face said something else. He had an alibi. It was tight. Same like Elvis.
What?
Yep.
But he was, at certain places that we were able to prove during that time that would make it very, very difficult for him to be at the crime scene.
So again, the question is, why are you assuming that the crime happened between, and by that I mean the murder, why are you assuming that the murder happened between 2:15, we'll say, and 3:30? You're rolling folks out and you don't know when they died.
But even if it did happen at that time, he doesn't have an alibi for that time. Ron Logan doesn't have an alibi.
Tight like a tiger. Wait till I think I think one day it will come to light how these assholes cleared people and what it means to them. And I think if it doesn't cause outrage even more so than currently, and also fear, then I'll lose all hope for everybody, because I think our idea of cleared and their idea of cleared is
well, their fucking idea of alibi and probable cause isn't even correct.
He's like, we didn't have any probable cause, but we had enough probable cause to do multiple search warrants. The FBI literally wrote out a probable cause affidavit that was signed by a judge listing exactly the probable cause for why they think that he was involved in the murder. So what are you even saying?
That
was something else.
Legal word.
That was something else they said at the press conference, Teresa, that Nick can't say anybody's cleared, even now.
What?
Yeah, he can't say anybody's. He doesn't know that anybody's cleared. He wouldn't say anybody's cleared. And also the tip line is still open.
What?
Yep.
During the crimes. So we looked into it. Again, searched his house and found no evidence connecting him to the crime scene or the crimes.
What did you find? I have a feeling you have no fucking.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure this feels what we call rinse and repeat.
Stop thanking him.
A lot of law enforcement as you've investigated this. But for those of us in the true crime community and those of us covering this case, it's sort of this continuous conversation, and we have been waiting, for the gag order to be lifted to ask these questions once again. So thank you for indulging these questions that might feel like repeat to you. I appreciate it.
Oh my God, I can't with her.
So how important was then the evidence of Bridge Guy? And by that, I'm saying how important was the evidence that Libby herself, the victim, brought to this investigation?
Well, very important. Very, very important. And like Prosecutor McClellan said, and I've said it before, that the girls are the true heroes in this case. I hate people saying, "Oh, you're a hero." No.
But who's calling you a hero?
Lauren.
Are people calling this man a hero?
I fucking hope not. He's not no fucking hero.
Special. I followed up on the evidence and the facts.
You didn't do anything special at all.
Who did something special is Liberty and Abby. And to be able to be a 14-year-old girl and have the awareness to turn your phone on and videotape that, obviously they were in fear of their lives.
Obviously? To who?
I thought it was pretty much the consensus after trial that the video was just her recording and happened to catch him on the camera. And exactly. I'm not taking anything away from Libby, because thank God she did record, but still I thought everybody understood that it was just she was recording and not recording him intentionally.
He follows evidence and facts, and then he tells us that something's obvious that is not anywhere close to being obvious to literally anyone. He has this whole story in his head, and he's like spewing it out, but like.
And she videotaped that, and from day one, after we got that video, a lot of us, me included, believed that was the person that killed the girls.
Why? Why?
And we knew up until we found the tip and the information on Richard Allen, we knew that if we found Bridge Guy, and we knew we have not identified him, that we would be able to solve this crime.
Okay.
Again,
Wait,
why?
that doesn't make any sense because I'm pretty sure it was ISP who put out the memo that actually stated that that guy had been fucking cleared and they no longer were looking for him.
It was.
Okay. And so at what point, can I ask you, did you know that Richard Allen was Bridge Guy or that guy?
The minute we saw the tip.
I mean, I think once we found Kathy Shanks found the misfiled tip, or however you want.
That's exactly his answer. When did you know Richard Allen was the guy? As soon as Kathy found the tip in the drawer?
Phrase that.
And then we like forced everything to fit, because as soon as we found that tip and we were like, oh shit, somebody that we didn't really look into that might be Bridge Guy. Because Kathy's the investigator and she put it together. Because she went digging through the file, and then she also knew that these other girls said that they saw, but like Kathy didn't take into account that it said that he saw 3 girls, and that other group was a group of 4 girls. I guess that's like the DHS math. That's like children and families math. That's the kind of math they do there.
We started doing a lot of intelligence gathering and looking into Richard Allen.
And somebody needed to gather some intelligence because you guys are fucking lacking in that department.
They started looking into Richard Allen just like they did everybody else, but they didn't find anybody else that had anything bad to say about him. They didn't get any additional tips about him. He's saying that this was like a sexually motivated, what did he say? It was a failed sexual assault, but they found 0 evidence of him ever being interested in children ever.
Yep. 0 history of
hadn't
anything
been violent. So I'm not sure what
thought
intelligence he did.
Was out there on the bridge, either as a witness or as a suspect.
And he's still trying to say that when they found the tip, they thought he might be a witness or a suspect. But yet then you have Kathy saying that as soon as she found it, she knew that had to be Bridge Guy. So I took it to Tony.
And we started putting circumstantial evidence together, leading us to believe that he was Bridge Guy.
See? We found the tip. We thought he was probably Bridge Guy. So we started finding circumstantial evidence to prove he was Bridge Guy. You did exactly what we thought you did.
Yeah, you didn't actually find any actual evidence.
And you had a conclusion. It had been 6 years or whatever at that point. You concluded that you hadn't found Bridge Guy yet, and that Richard Allen was probably Bridge Guy. So you went out of your way to get evidence, and when you didn't fucking come up with any, you tried to get a confession, and you still didn't get it because you suck at your job. And so you put him in state-sanctioned torture for confession. And it took 5 months, 6 months to get it. So you're a menace, and you suck at your job.
I think when I first believed it was when Steve Mullen and Tony Liggett interviewed him, and he basically described himself as Bridge Guy and being out there on the bridge.
What?
And at that point, I knew that he was Bridge Guy.
How many times has he said at this point? So at this point, there's been like 6 at this points that he knew that he was Bridge Guy. All the way back to when Kathy found the tip in the drawer in the box.
Bridge Guy.
Yeah.
And I knew that we were able to have eyewitnesses who said they saw Bridge Guy.
But they didn't say they saw Richard Allen. Dude, you suck at your job, man. You are fucking horrible. You are a horrible human being and investigator.
I hope he watches his own interview back and goes, what the fuck was I saying?
No, he'll watch it here. He'll read all of the comments. He'll go watch the live chat, and he'll say, they like me.
They really
like me.
They really like me. So I thought he was Bridge Guy. So then we started putting some circumstantial evidence together. And then he said that he was on the bridge. And then these girls had seen Bridge Guy. So we knew that Richard Allen was Bridge Guy.
Yep. And so when he started making crazy phone calls and like eating paper, we were like, oh, he's doing all of that because we know that he's bridge guy.
Because he's bridge guy. And that's what I knew, he was bridge guy.
And you put all those pieces of the puzzle together, and there was no
But I thought you were only missing one piece.
All the pieces to the puzzle.
doubt that he was out there.
I bet he could not put together a puzzle.
Not even like 100-piece one?
I do not think so. I don't even think if it was like one of those wooden ones where it actually has the little like sticks that stick out at each piece and like make them easy to maneuver, and like
the one that tells you like where they have to go.
Yeah, where there's like a little outline in wood or whatever, and so you just
like,
keep trying to stick it in there.
It says like this piece is supposed to go with this piece, but it doesn't work. So I'm just gonna fucking put them together anyway.
He'll like grab a hot glue gun and just start smashing them all around, or sand the entire thing down and then just rearrange them however he wants. That's his way.
And he was the one on the video telling the girls, kidnapping them, telling them to go down the hill. And I think
it was you.
At that time, I believed it. But again, we were building a case and we weren't going to falsely arrest anybody. So we were putting
What?
Why do you have to keep reiterating that he's not going to falsely arrest somebody?
Because he falsely arrested somebody. That's why Teresa.
I mean, I don't know if an innocent person would say that. Why would you need to say that over and over again? If you're just a trustworthy cop, of course you're not going to falsely arrest somebody. You don't need to tell everybody you're not going to falsely arrest somebody. You just wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And you wouldn't have to tell us that. It's like, I swear I'm not lying. I swear I did not steal that.
I would never falsely arrest somebody.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking back to like the people that do like the statement analysis. Oh, I would love to see a statement analysis on this. But when they say like words like I never do that or I always do this is usually them lying. Because everybody does something sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when he left and stopped cooperating and wouldn't allow us to look at his phone or get his DNA.
Bitch, you told him he killed 2 girls. Like, I'm utterly shocked that he cooperated with you at all. I'm sure he regrets it daily.
We were able to apply and obtain a search warrant for his residence.
Which, they
probable cause.
They did like everywhere. So that's like means literally nothing.
And I think out there, my communication with him was odd. His behavior was odd. And when him and I had minimal discussions, but I told him, hey, we're not here to tear your house up.
They had minimal discussions.
His behavior was odd compared to what?
Yeah. I think your behavior is odd, Jerry.
Yep. That's enough.
Break any locks, but if we need your cooperation, will you assist us so we don't do that?
Fuck no, not ever. Never, ever, ever. No.
The answer is no.
Get a warrant. No, absolutely not.
Multiple comments of doesn't matter, it's over.
Yeah, because you all blocked off the fucking road and all the neighbors saw you all there.
He made that comment multiple times out there when we served the search warrant. And I just thought that was odd.
You know how many comments that you've made in this 20 minutes and 19 seconds that have been odd as fuck to many people?
I can't even believe that we're only 20 minutes into this fucking video.
Just putting all of it together and then finding the items that we found and sending them to the lab and getting the results back.
What did you
find?
The
items? What items did you find?
Nothing that linked Richard Allen to the crime scene or the girls to Richard Allen other than this bullet, which you were told and admitted on the stand was not a match, that you misunderstood it. But then your dumbass sits here in this interview and says once again that it was a match. I'm surprised he didn't say like a paternity test.
Back that indicated that the round that we found on February the 14th between Abby and Libby, closest to Libby, matched his gun.
What?
And he couldn't explain that. So
yeah, because he has no fucking idea because he wasn't there and that wasn't his bullet. Like, what answer would he expect?
I don't understand. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. What does he want him to say? Like, oh, I can totally explain that. Just like if somebody picked up my unspent round from my yard and put it at a crime scene, but I could explain that. Would that be okay?
Oh, then Jerry would have cleared him. See, maybe we're fucked up. Maybe Jerry's normal thinking. Maybe it's us. Cause that would be really suspicious to me. If he was like, maybe I dropped it out of my pocket in my front yard and it got stuck to the bottom of the treads on someone's shoe. And then they walked out there to process the crime scene and then it got stuck there.
Yeah.
And Jerry would be like, yeah, okay, all right, thanks. You're good.
Would
Bye.
that have been a good enough explanation for Jerry, or just because he said, doesn't matter, it's all over anyway? Or was it because Kathy Shank found the tip that we already knew Richard Allen was bridge guy when Kathy Shank found the tip?
That's really that's what it boils down to. She found the tip. He knew that was bridge guy, and he knew that bridge guy was
he was going to make
girls.
him bridge guy at that point. That's
100%.
exactly what he was going to do, and that's exactly what he did.
Even though the witnesses that he mentions, that he said that they would testify that they saw bridge guy, which they did, not a single fucking one could say that the person they saw was Richard Allen. It's like, no one cares that they said that they saw bridge guy. That's great. We're happy they saw bridge guys. That means that maybe one day they'll be able to identify who that person is, because they couldn't do it with the person you just threw in prison for 130 years.
Putting all that.
Oh, and speaking of this, and then I'm gonna hit play so we can get a little further, because I'm telling you, it gets worse, man.
I can't even believe that. I can't even believe that he could do this for an hour and a half. Like, this is exhausting. No wonder she thought he testified 500 times.
Yep. And so there's like there's a bunch of shit going on with Kohberger now. There's like this new ridiculous shit out. And anyway, like somebody showed up into some girl's apartment in Pullman and like stood over a bed with a knife.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. And she like woke up and saw them, like kicked them in the stomach. They felt whatever. And she said,
is there any truth to that? I don't know. I've heard it, but I don't know. I haven't looked at anything. So
the situation happened, and he was added to like a person of interest list in the file after his arrest. I'm assuming because it was similar in nature, like the person had a gun or a knife, and it was at the time.
So he wasn't investigated in 2021 for it.
No. And in fact, I even think that they put out a comment, I believe, and someone will correct me, I'm sure, but I'm pretty sure they put out a comment saying that they had like no reason to believe he was involved with that.
And where was it? And where was it at?
In Pullman. He wasn't even living in Washington.
He wasn't living. I was just going to say he wasn't even there yet.
Yeah, but what's interesting about the whole thing is that the girl, you know, what have I always said to you about, if I didn't notice nothing else, I would notice this of the bridge guy.
It's fucking tiny.
Exactly. This girl in Pullman says the same thing. The only thing she really noticed about this person was that they were short.
Oh, that's not Kohberger.
No, not Kohberger at all. But my point is,
it's probably going to end up being Richard Allen.
Exactly. You notice when someone's tiny, and literally nobody can say that.
That together in the video of his car and all the circumstantial evidence with the witness statements. I knew we had to
statements are direct evidence. Shut the fuck up. He's so stupid.
That was one of the big things you testified on, were the conversations you had with him while his house was being searched. That was a moment. You just mentioned it. So he stated to you, and I want to understand this. He stated to you, it doesn't matter anyway. Or can you take me back to what he was saying to you? Because this was a really important part, in my opinion, of your testimony on the stand of
why
conversations you had with him during the search of his house.
Why, and also what's so hard to understand? It was literally laid out that they blocked off the entire road. And he actually says, well, I'm just going to let him say it.
Sure. So as a supervisor, I did a walkthrough with the crime scene investigator, and they take pictures before they start the search. That way, if we are accused of, destroying the property, we'll have that on pictures of it before we started, and then after we also go back and take pictures after. And
but not the bullet,
search.
though.
So I did a walkthrough, and I told Richard Allen I was going to do a walkthrough and why, and that if we did destroy anything, it wasn't going to be on purpose, and that there's a process. We have a tort claim that he can fill out if we do destroy any of his property. And he made the comment, and I'd have to look at my report to see exactly what he said, but he said, it doesn't matter, it's over anyway. And I didn't dig into it at the time. I just noted it, and I put it in my report. But he made that several times. He at some point he sat in the car with me when his wife needed to use the restroom.
Wait. I thought he didn't put that in his report. Am I wrong on the fact that I thought that he testified that it was not in his report? It was just something that he remembered. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but I don't think.
I specifically remember him saying that he did not record it. He chose not to record it, but I don't know 100%. If actually, I can go look back at the.
That's okay. Keep playing it. Maybe I'm remembering wrong because I haven't been Delphi focused for a little while, so I could be forgetting.
I mean, he's clearly a fucking liar. So I mean,
I trust nothing.
I don't believe him. Yeah, I thought I couldn't possibly believe less of what he says until he opened his mouth here. Now there's not a thing that I believe that he says ever. I would never. He could tell me the sky is blue and I'd still go outside and check.
If he could sit in the car with me, and he asked me, did you guys detain or did you arrest my wife? And I said, no, why? he said, well, she's been gone for a long time. And I said, well, I could take you out to where she works if you want me to go find her. And he said it again. No, it doesn't matter. It's over anyway. And he said it a few times. And then in my interview, I asked him what he meant by it. He just said, well, you've talked to these people and they all think I'm guilty and, my life's over anyway. And, that's just weird to me that an innocent person would say that.
What? I would say that.
Yeah. I mean, you literally have destroyed like my entire reputation, and people are now going to constantly think that this is me. So yeah, it doesn't matter what you do to my doorknobs or my locks. You've destroyed something that's way more important. So yeah, fuck off.
Exactly. All of my neighbors. And regardless, for him to say that he can't see an innocent person saying that, I'm here to tell you, I would say the same thing. So like, what does that mean about me? Especially if I was
you're a bridge guy.
People. Yeah.
I found a tip that said you were bridge guy, and so now I think you're bridge guy. So, and then there was 3 people who verified the bridge guy was bridge guy, and you said you owned a blue jacket, so you are now bridge guy.
I hate this motherfucker. He's so stupid.
I think only
again the superintendent of the Indiana State Police said that this man is not a liar, and he would walk or crawl across shards of hot glass for him.
Let's see if that becomes true.
This is embarrassing. So embarrassing.
Guilty people would think that.
Guilty people would, fuck you. I literally thought the same thing. And especially if I was somebody who was like really concerned about what others think about me, I would die of embarrassment. I would absolutely die of embarrassment if something like that happened. Even if I didn't get arrested and they just searched my house and talked to people and said that I was basically, they were searching because they thought I killed the girls that everybody's been looking for the killer of for the last 6 years, I'd be mortified. That means I'm guilty. That's crazy. His thought process.
That's his probable cause. There was a tip. There was a tip, and nobody else had tipped him in. So there was this misfiled tip that Kathy Shank found. The fact that the 3 girls saw a guy, the fact that there was a guy who was interviewed who said he had a blue jacket, and the fact that Jerry Holeman heard him say, "It doesn't matter, it's over anyway." That's the probable cause that they needed.
He really did the bare minimum.
Because we searched many people's houses and they never said, it's over. They said
none of them, not a single one of them. Nobody said anything about. I don't know. I wonder what Brandon Woodhouse thinks about that.
Go ahead, search. I didn't do it. You're not going to find anything. So it was just odd to me that he would say that.
So is your face. Times. Your face is odd. You keep repeating.
Of course, the other really interesting part of your testimony in court, and maybe this is actually why in my brain, I envision you testifying more than even twice, as you said, is because we watched multiple times the interrogation that you did of.
When did they watch it multiple times? They watched it one time. What is she talking about? They watched it multiple times. She also says in here, and she's about to get to it, she says it was edited. Wait.
Richard Allen, 2 separate interrogations, and one in which led to the arrest of Richard Allen. And, nobody else, the public has not seen those. It was interesting. I think I might have been one that after I watched it first time in court, I might have joked and maybe said you kind of maybe thought you were on an episode of CSI or something. You were really into it and passionate, and the language that was used was really intense. A lot of F-bombs, a lot of all this, but
that made him smile.
Can you take me back there? Because it was also edited.
He's like, oh, she's proud of me. She's proud of what I did.
She said it was also edited. Can you talk about it being edited?
No, I didn't hear that. Sorry, I started talking.
This is the first I'm hearing about it being edited.
Take me back there because it was also edited. Like we didn't see the whole.
It was also edited.
Edited.
We saw the majority of it, but all of a sudden it went from like a bit of calmness to you just sort of really yelling at him and telling him he did it. Can you take us?
He touched his face
through this interrogation. I hope that the public is able to.
That's a sign of a liar.
But what were your tactics and what were you feeling and thinking during this interrogation?
No. Why the fuck was it edited and what's out?
Yeah, let's
go with
it, but she didn't ask that. How did she know it was edited?
Edited?
She assumed that it was edited because she assumed it was edited because he has mood swings I don't know about that. I think he has mood swing. I think if somebody was asking him some actual questions and telling him the shit that he's saying doesn't make any fucking sense, I think we'd see that attitude come out real quick.
To be an interrogation, we actually hadn't set up a time for him to come in, and we planned on giving him his car back. But we wanted to talk about some of the results of the tests that we had. One being the tool marks on the round that was found.
That was the only result, but okay.
Matched his gun.
Matched? I'm pretty sure you were put in your place about saying the word matched.
And then also,
I'm surprised you didn't say paternity test.
We were still testing other items, and we wanted to know if he had lent any other items out or anything like that. What was weird to me is we actually scheduled that interview a few days before, but he canceled. And then when I went out to the lobby to get him, he was with his wife, and just the way he was dressed to me was odd. He was wearing
the fuck?
Like sweatpants and a t-shirt, I believe.
It was weird as fuck. He was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, and
what?
not a Carhartt hoodie and a pair of blue jeans.
The fact that he was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt?
Yeah, it was weird to him. That was really odd.
And so Richard Allen was supposed to be there for an interview a couple days before and canceled. Well, I'm confused by that because the whole thing is that they were going to get him his car, and then Holeman just walks up and he's like, "Hey, while you're here to get your car, can I just ask you a couple questions?"
Yep.
So I mean, what?
Yeah, he's a liar, and also he thinks that people in sweatpants and t-shirts are really sus.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's his meaning behind probable cause is very interesting.
If you were innocent,
you would not fucking show up to pick up your car wearing sweatpants and a fucking t-shirt. Only guilty people do that.
If you were innocent, you would have been naked. That's how Holman would have said it. Fuck. Oh, he touched his face.
And he took his coat off and he emptied his.
Now he had a coat on. I thought he just had a sweatshirt or sweatpants and a t-shirt on.
Pockets. Okay. I think he may have had like a lighter and some cigarettes or something, maybe a wallet. I can't remember exactly, but he.
Oh, that's super weird.
A lighter, some cigarettes,
yeah,
and his wallet. Do you see how weird it is? The details that he goes into when they're completely unnecessary, but the shit that is actually really important to the investigation, he totally swipes over it, and just because bottom line is, we did this, or bottom line is we cleared these people. But he wants to give like all these details that mean nothing to anybody. Nobody gives a shit that Richard Allen had on sweatpants. Nobody gives a shit that Richard Allen had a pack of cigarettes and a lighter and his wallet. Why is he going so far into this?
Don't they say that when you're lying, like you do go into like extreme detail like that?
Yeah, but he avoids everything that's actually important.
He had his list of things that he had to say.
He emptied his pockets and gave those items to his wife, which most people don't do that.
What?
Like what most people?
I don't know. My fucking husband just gave me his keys and his wallet like yesterday and told me to hold on to him.
So I was going to say, like my ex-husband, like when we would get in the car, the very first thing he would do is pull out his wallet from his back pocket and whatever else was back there, like a can of snuff or whatever, and he'd hand it to me. He's not going to sit on his wallet and can of snuff. But Jerry says that's weird, so.
I have had people that I've interviewed in the past and said, "Hey, I'm going to turn this report over to the prosecutor, and if he decides to issue a warrant, can I call you and you meet me and turn yourself in?"
What? Oh, so you make most of your arrests by saying, "Hey, if you promise, hey, I'll let you go. But if the prosecutor gets an arrest warrant, you promise you'll come back here and let me arrest you?" And people are like, "Yeah, and I won't bring anything with me. Like I won't bring like my wallet and stuff. I'll already come in a jumpsuit."
And they said, "Yeah, sure." And
yeah, sure, I'll turn myself in. Get the fuck
I would
out
call
of here.
them,
Nobody's buying that.
That's how they would show up, because I think it's common knowledge that you can't bring personal items into the jail.
Dickhead, if you call me and you're like, "Hey,
it's common knowledge.
I'm calling the FBI."
It's common knowledge you can't bring your personal items into the jail. So he knew he was being arrested because he had his wife holding his shit for him.
And common knowledge to who? Criminals like you, Jerry? I'm confused.
The guy's never been arrested for anything. How would that be common knowledge to him?
Also, I've seen on the TV and also YouTube where they do like the interviews of the people in the prison and stuff, and they have jewelry and stuff on. So I don't know, Jerry. I don't think that's true.
He's just making shit up.
He thinks it sounds good.
And more than likely, they're going to throw them away or lose them. So,
they're going to just throw your whole fucking wallet away?
Oh my God, I can't.
To me, from as soon as I engaged with him in the lobby, it was like he thought I was going to arrest him. And at that time, our intentions was just to try to clear up some things and get some explanations for some of the test results that we had and collect his DNA and do some other things. But
did you have a warrant for his DNA? I don't think you did. I also wouldn't have given you my DNA. Everybody knows how I feel about this.
I know you do.
I know.
You're like, you're not fucking touching my DNA. It's my shit. Leave it alone.
Yeah, like people say they send their DNA out and shit, and like I cringe. Like I'm a big fan, and I used to not be like this, but like my uncle, the cop, will tell you the same thing. Like if the cops come to your door and like don't even answer the door, talk to them through the door. So if you don't have a warrant, I am not giving you my DNA. I'm not giving you my fingerprints. I'm not talking to you without.
I'm not talking to you without a fucking attorney.
Yeah, I wish that would have happened here.
I tell everybody, all that's my one piece of advice. If you listen to nothing else I ever say, I don't care if you're innocent, guilty. If they ask you to talk to them, bring an attorney. That's it.
They're gonna steal your punch cards for a free coffee. Jerry has all these scenarios in his head. It's quite interesting.
I think maybe he thinks like if I gave my wallet to my wife, like that's because they're gonna steal it from me. Like somebody's trying to steal my wallet.
Yeah, not because I'm gonna go sit in a hard chair.
Not because I have sweatpants on and everything fucking falls out of the pockets every time I sit down.
Oh, good point. Real good point.
To arrest him that day. We were trying to give him the opportunity to explain
I was trying to give him the opportunity to confess, and then I would arrest him, but he didn't. So I arrested him anyway because I got pissed off because I thought I was a better investigator than that. But really, I'm just trash.
Going on. So that was odd. And then during the interview, the first
it was odd.
Majority of the interview, he started cussing at me. I'd normally treat people as they treat me. So if you're not cursing, I'm not going to curse. But if you start cursing, then I'm going to speak your language.
Fuck off.
And he had dropped the F-bomb a couple times, and I did not. I was giving him the.
I just said right now, fuck off.
I was accusing him of killing 2 people.
Yeah.
And but he made some odd comments and things like that.
Like what?
To me, I made a comment that he said he cared what people thought about him, and I said, yeah, I understand that. And your wife doesn't think you're a bad person, and I don't think you're a bad person. And he made a comment, well, what kind of good person kills 2 girls?
Yeah, because you don't think I'm a bad person, but you just accused me of killing 2 people. So what good people
he thinks that's another reason that he's guilty?
Yeah, that's why, because it's odd.
Because
that was odd.
Nobody's saying it like
odd.
You don't think you're telling me you think I'm a good person. Well, you just told me you think I killed 2 girls. How do you think a good person kills 2 girls? Like, I know you're fucking lying.
She's like, yeah, I thought that was pretty suspicious.
To me,
it's odd. Everything's odd. I would. We should. You know what? If I'd have thought ahead, I would have made like a counter for the word odd.
I allowed him a break. Actually,
you allowed him, but I thought he wasn't in custody.
He wasn't in it. This was not a custodial interrogation, according to them. Yeah. You didn't allow him shit.
Actually, a smoke
break. Oh, but you allowed him
to come up with your own shit. You fucking lying sack of bullshit.
Bathroom break.
I think maybe he doesn't know what it means. Wait till he starts talking about Miranda.
I gave him a couple waters, maybe.
I gave him a couple of waters, and I allowed him to smoke a cigarette, but he was not. It was not a custodial interrogation. We were not going to arrest him, but I allowed him to move freely, but not really freely because I was giving him permission. And also he was probably accompanied.
1 or 2. And everything that, we normally do in an extended interview. And I also asked him.
Because I'm really starting to think he has no idea.
He called it an extended interview.
Yeah.
Some things that
we just wanted to ask him a couple questions.
He told us some things that weren't adding up, like he had no fucking clue how his bullet got at that crime scene. And I just thought that was odd. How is she? I don't know.
And he said, yeah. So I allowed him to talk to
She doesn't care. She's just happy with the views.
So he allowed him to smoke a cigarette. He allowed him to talk to his wife, and he gave him some water. That's what he's saying. But
That's so nice, Jerry. That's so nice of you, Jerry Holeman.
But it was not a custodial interrogation, and therefore he did not have to read him his Miranda warnings. And it's interesting because weren't we told that he did read him his Miranda rights for this interrogation?
No, he says that he at the very beginning, before the recording was on, he said, "Do you remember your Miranda rights from when you were talked to by Mullen and
3 days
Wade?"
ago. He says 3 days ago, but it's not 3 days from the 16th to the 26th.
13 days. It was 13 days.
Yeah. See, there's that math again.
It was very odd when she came in.
It's very odd. I agree. You're very odd.
And
he is very odd.
In my opinion, when I observed it, she was very standoffish. She didn't act like she wanted to be there. She was upset.
Now he's
No, she didn't act like she wanted to be there. Well, no fucking
She didn't.
shit.
Yeah,
She didn't want to be there. She wasn't acting. She legit didn't want to be there.
Well, see, now he has to tell the world that Kathy thought that her husband killed these 2 girls. That's where he's getting at.
Set. She asked him why you didn't tell me you were on the bridge that day, and they had a conversation about some things. He tried to hug her, and she was just very standoffish with him. So that was odd behavior.
Funny, he doesn't say a single word about like how she was hysterically crying. See, he goes into detail about these things that like he thinks nobody's ever going to see. Like we're never going to see the interrogation videos.
And then, some things are edited out because they may be too prejudicial for the jury to hear. And the things that were edited out was I offered him a polygraph, and you can't say that because if someone denied or refuses to take a polygraph, that's too prejudicial to present to the jury. And I understand that, and that's why those things were edited out. That's the only thing that was edited out.
So he denied. He didn't want it.
Oh, that's what was edited out.
Yeah,
but it's suspicious to her that he denied it. Maybe she should look into how many other people denied.
He doesn't know anything about the case.
Maybe
he doesn't know anything about the case.
Maybe she should look into how many people failed a polygraph. Would that be really suspicious?
Refused multiple times.
Or would it be odd? I'm gonna start saying odd. It's odd.
Times. And while his wife was in there, I asked her, I said, if you're innocent, would you take a polygraph? And she said, yes. And I said, well, I've offered Richard to take this polygraph multiple times, and he refuses to do it.
Yeah, never ever. And also, Jerry, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And he got angry with you then. And
he got angry with you because you brought his wife into a conversation between A and B and implied to her that the reason that he wouldn't take it is because he was guilty. Because if she would take it when she's innocent, then he must be guilty for not wanting to take it.
Started cussing, and then I started cussing and said, if you're innocent, take the effing polygraph. And
how about you take a polygraph?
I can't wait until we see this ourselves, and I want to see who says the first cuss word.
Yeah. I want Jerry to take a polygraph.
Things like that. And then he asked for me to let his wife go. And I said, sure, you can go. And I said, tell him to do the right thing. And
what's the right thing? Confess to something he didn't do because that was what you wanted him to do? Okay.
Stop giving away his wallet.
When he said that you're going to pay for this. And I said, no, it's not on me, Richard Allen. This is on you. That's
what you said. It's not on me, Richard Allen. That's what you said.
I'm not going to pay for this. You're going to pay for that.
You will pay for this, you cocky motherfucker.
I only raised my voice and cursed for maybe a total of 30, 40 seconds. The rest of the time.
I think that everyone in the courtroom said that is a lie. He only cursed and raised his voice for 30 or 40 seconds. Literally everybody came out saying he was like a raging fucking lunatic. Literally everybody, including this one sitting here. But she won't say that. Like, now would be, you sat there and you watched the interrogation. Now would be the perfect time for you to be like, sir, I was literally there. I watched it. You were like a raving fucking lunatic.
I was calm just like this.
Oh, she can't do that because then he'll get mad.
Deceptive tactics.
Well, then she won't get a second interview.
That we're trained to use. And, some people call them lies. I call them deceptive tactics. Interview techniques.
Some people call them lies. I call them odd.
I call them deceptive tactics.
That's not a lie.
That's okay because he's allowed to do that.
Does he understand it's like a cinnamon?
I bet you. We're gonna have to edit this out. A synonym.
Does he say cinnamon? Onomatopoeia. Oh. I call them untruths.
So stupid.
Embellished. He embellished. So we're still with the cinnamons.
Cinnamon.
We have eyewitnesses that saw you out there. Well, they did. They saw Bridge Guy. They identified Bridge Guy, and we were.
But they failed.
They identified Bridge Guy. When did it? Who identified Bridge Guy? Because I thought that was like the whole fucking point. Was for somebody to actually identify Bridge Guy. Nobody ever did.
She's like, bitch, what did I just hear? Does he know these are synonyms?
I
gotta check on this. See if does he understand their synonyms?
Being Richard Allen. We had the evidence of his car. We had multiple police officers saying that's him on the video and that's his voice.
Which multiple police officers?
Who?
Yeah. him and his other personalities.
And I over embellished some of those facts and said
over embellished.
Oh, they're not lied.
It's not
just
odd.
over embellished.
Things like that, but it's just techniques that we use that people would use when they're trying to get their kids to tell the truth if they take a cookie out of the cookie jar.
Sir, I would never talk to or treat my child the way that you treated Richard Allen. Sorry. If you treat your children that way, that's a problem.
I mean, it's simple.
He's saying that he's saying that the Reed technique is comparable to how you would speak to your child.
To get him to confess to stealing a cookie.
So once again, we're comparing. So kind of like by we, I mean he compared a drug investigation to a double homicide investigation. He's now comparing and saying they're apples and apples, stealing a cookie from a cookie jar to a double murder.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just embellish the truth a little bit. I lie to my children to get them to confess. That's what I do.
That we use to try to elicit a response.
I would love to know how many things like his kids confessed to that they never actually did.
Well, he's obviously not very good at the Reed technique.
That's true. He is terrible. He's terrible at everything in his job.
Let's give him a promotion.
Yeah.
Response, not necessarily a confession, but just a response that
we need a response, but not a confession. So does he understand that he was using the Reed technique? He said that he's trained in the Reed technique. Does he not know what it is? Because he's saying that he doesn't use the Reed technique to get a confession. He's just using it to get information. Well, like you do an interrogation to get
his job. He doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't know probable cause.
I truly think he doesn't know anything about the law. Yeah, I think I don't know like what his I don't know.
Build on. And at the end of it, we were both calm. I drove him to the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. We had no interaction at all.
Okay, so you're telling me that
do you think that Richard Allen was calm?
You're telling me the part that the judge had to read out loud to the jury was him being calm? I'm pretty sure he was cussing you out. Like, where is he getting this stuff?
Definitely no heated interactions.
There was no heated interactions? Like, I wouldn't be surprised to find out he whooped his ass on the way over to Carroll County Sheriff's. Like, what are you even saying? I don't believe you. I believe nothing you say.
And that was pretty much it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was really uneventful.
Thank you for explaining
that. He wore
sweatpants
and a t-shirt, gave his wife the wallet
those that were sitting
and
in
the cigarettes.
And I want to say,
said it's over.
Thought, oh my gosh, that was really intense. Now that I understand some of the edits, it makes a little bit more sense to me, but
edits. He said there was one edit and it was editing out him offering a polygraph. What are you understanding about the edits? She said it was really intense. Well, he said he was only yelling. It was only intense for 30 to 40 seconds.
Yeah, we have no idea.
So I was one that was like, man, like they definitely didn't edit you yelling at him. But
that only happened for 30, 40 seconds. You all were watching a video for like multiple hours.
Want you to know that someone else in court.
And also, who edited it? She's acting like the defense edited it. Like they only left the parts where he was yelling. But like, does she forget that like the prosecution is the one that put that video up there as an exhibit? Would that change what she's saying right now? I don't know. I think so.
I was saying, no, like I thought it was great. I thought he did such a great job. So like we were all discussing, sharing what we thought about this interrogation.
Literally nobody said that, including her when they left. They did not say he did a great job.
But I want to one thing I noticed, and you brought it up too, was when his wife came in, when Kathy Allen came in.
We already talked about this.
Actually thought that was really interesting. My take on that was, and you weren't part of this. You guys were, I guess, as you point out, watching. I felt he was really manipulative to his wife in that room where he said, you know, I wouldn't have done this. You know that I'm not capable of this. And she wasn't hugging him. You're right. She was standoffish and she was sort of like almost, she wasn't sold. And he was like, you know, I wouldn't do this. You know me, Kathy, you know me. And then to hear, that she stated was one that she didn't even know he was at the bridge that day during the sentencing was just.
Oh, we cut that part out. So I just really would love to know what it is that these people expected him to say that would have not been odd.
Well, I guess if Holeman says it, it's not odd, according to her. It makes sense.
But they both keep saying things that are odd, but nobody's saying what would be a normal response. Because all of these are normal responses.
But I mean, it makes me feel very gaslit because if these are all my responses to things and how I would have reacted or how my husband would react, then I feel like, wait, so are we odd?
Dude, not even a murder. Like if somebody accused me of doing something and you come to me and you're like, why did so-and-so say that you told them this or whatever? I'd be like, Teresa, you know me. Like, why the fuck would I say that? So does that mean I actually did it? Like, is that where we're at now?
Yeah. Well, also the fact that he had sweatpants on, Sleuthy. Come on.
Look at this.
I don't know. I asked this question. I was trying to think of whose live it was that was talking about this interaction between Kathy and Rick. I don't remember whose it was, and somebody was saying that they thought like it was like he was like gaslighting her and manipulating her.
It was her.
Was it her live? But I remember asking it, and the person and people in the chat were like, "Yeah, it did seem like that."
Yep, it was her.
And I was like, "Really?" Because I just don't. I mean, him saying like they're trying to tell her that he did this, and saying they have evidence that he did it. So she's like, "What the fuck? Like what?" And then he's like, "Come on, like you can't even be thinking that seriously." But anybody who sits there and trusts the cops, and they're like, "Wait a minute, did you fucking? Why do they fucking think you did this? What is going on right now?" You know?
Again, he's like telling this whole conversation, like they're talking about this whole conversation, but like 90% of what we heard when people came out of there was the fact that like Kathy was sobbing, like basically the entire that you could hardly understand what she was saying. Like he's got this whole conversation. Like,
they don't bring that up at all.
I know. They act like she was cold and she like believed that he killed them. Not that she was like traumatized by everything that had happened the preceding 2 weeks. And now they're in there and they're telling him they think he murdered 2 girls.
6 days ago, actually. That was when this gag order was lifted, and why we're able to talk right now. You were called to the stand 6 days ago, and you mentioned that he was manipulative to his wife and family, and you even mentioned specifically religion. That was a moment for me because, as I'm explaining to you, I saw some manipulation of him that wasn't really addressed, but it's just something I noticed in this interrogation. What did you mean when you shared 6 days ago at a sentencing that you felt he manipulated his family and those around him?
I think that would have been after, the arrest was made, his phone conversations and his conversations with corrections officers. I believe I stated that I felt he used religion to manipulate his mother, wife, and corrections officers to get what he wanted. And
when did he ever get anything?
Wait. So now he wasn't really religious, but yet their whole theory is that he found God and that's why he decided to confess. But now he's using religion to manipulate.
Correct. To get
that doesn't go with what they're saying on why he confessed.
Yeah. Well, doesn't matter now. He's in the hole for 130 years. So he doesn't give a fuck at all. See, there's a general awareness of like how difficult it is to overturn a conviction, how easy it is to convict somebody. So most just think, well, which is why I was like super shocked that they were begging him essentially. I mean, it was said multiple times. I would never, and this just goes for me. Like, I'm not wasting my time asking you to not file appeal. Go ahead and file a fucking appeal. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't have to know anything about it. The only time I need to know about what's happening with your appeal is if a different court says you get a new trial. Then come to me and tell me. Otherwise, I don't give a fuck. I'm not reading it. I don't care. But in multiple places, for there to be a request to not file an appeal makes me think that there is some concern that it will be overturned when it can't be if there's no appeal filed.
Why would they be asking to not file an appeal?
I don't know. Other than what I just said, I have no idea. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Maybe not just religion, but I think he manipulated them by behavior or his actions that he was doing.
He's talking about like eating his own shit. That's what he's talking about. All of this was manipulation
at the correction facility to get what he wanted. He broke his iPad. He wanted a new one. He wanted, he didn't like his living conditions.
So he manipulated you all and still didn't get anything that he wanted. His living conditions were still garbage. Okay. I saw
he didn't like his living conditions.
For no appeal. They posted, who was it? I don't want to say the wrong one. It might have been that Kyla or whatever. One of the news people. They posted several people, but Mike Patty was the one that asked inside sentencing, asked Richard Allen to put a stop to any appeal.
What?
Yeah.
He wanted to be moved. He wanted in person visits with his wife, and I think because
you all didn't let him have any in-person visits with his wife until he confessed, which was exactly what you
He's
wanted,
acting
which
like
makes it even more
he's acting
suspicious.
like that these aren't just normal things that somebody that is, well, even guilty or not, somebody who's never been to fucking prison
Yeah.
wouldn't be not happy with their living conditions. Well, this guy's not even a convicted felon, and he was living under torturous circumstances. And yeah, he just wasn't, he wasn't happy with that. So, he used religion to get out of it. But I'm sorry, it doesn't make any sense, because religion's the whole reason he started confessing, and these confessions are not manipulations. Supposedly, they're the truth. People just pick and choose what they want to be real and what they don't want to be real.
It could be both, Teresa. It just can't have been Elvis Fields or.
Well, no, because apparently that was spit at one location and transferred to the crime scene.
That someone physically carried. They walked the entire 100 and some odd miles with the spit in their hands in the dirt, and then they just sprinkled it everywhere. That's the explanation. And old Jerry here said that's a great explanation.
Saying those things and at some point using religion and his Bible to try to convince people that, he found God. And I hope he did. I hope he did. I hope he confessed it.
So do you think he might have, or was he just manipulating people?
All the sins, and I hope he's forgiven for those sins. And I just have a hard time believing that. And I think that he is definitely manipulative and persuasive and selfish. And that's kind of what I meant by those comments.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was
at all.
Was there any reaction of Kathy after that arrest, by the way? That's something, of course, we didn't see. I saw her reaction in that room, sort of standoffish.
Standoffish, so we're not going to mention.
Did she have any reaction during the arrest? Anything you remember?
Well, I wasn't with her, but what I was told was she was upset and maybe even began to hyperventilate a little bit. And they did talk to her several minutes, if not hours, after I took Mr. Allen to.
So was it several minutes or hours after you took him to jail? How do you not know?
Carroll County. So, but yeah.
And what did you do? So you arrested him and then you immediately went back and talked to Kathy? Okay.
I think probably shocked. I mean, I believe that when this happens, initial shock probably is something that occurs.
We'll give a little break there just so everyone knows we were getting some feedback echo on my end. So I put my earphones on and we will continue. We were talking.
That would be Doug. His earpiece must have been interfering with your huge headphones. I'm glad you all cleared that up.
About a reaction of Kathy Allen when Richard Allen was arrested that we didn't know about. And thank you for sharing that. I want to also reiterate that she too is a victim in this, and I don't want to blame her in any way. It was actually
just look at the ceiling
in court every day sitting there. One thing about the interrogation too, the defense brought up after, as you say, the interview that turned into an interrogation on accident, or the accidental interrogation, the day he was arrested.
Yeah, he wasn't going to arrest him, or really, he was just going to really nicely ask. But then Richard Allen is the one that made it turn into an interrogation.
They brought up that his Miranda rights had not been recorded, that they had been given to him, but they didn't make the recording. There was a lot of talk about recordings being missing or interviews being missing.
Get good, Teresa.
Which I think, let's just be honest, led to a lot of theories about you and law enforcement and cover-ups. Can you talk about this and what happened with
Jerry.
Missing recordings?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, technology is great when it works. I mean, I think you were at the trial. You even saw we had this brand new smart TV that Prosecutor McClellan was ready to throw out the third floor window, second floor, whichever floor we were on. Mm-hmm. We would practice that thing the day before, playing videos, and even on break to make sure it would work. And then when the jury would come back, we'd hit play and nothing would happen. So technology is great when it works. I can tell you that none of the errors or technical difficulties that we had were intentional.
And if they were, he would totally tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
To speak on mine, we had multiple in this case, and we had multiple technical difficulties in all of our investigations. But in this one, I thought we checked the recording system before Richard Allen showed up. It was working fine. We started it during the interview, and our plan was they were going to email me, so I had my laptop in the interview room with me if they had any questions or they needed me. And I didn't see the email, but they emailed me and said, "Hey, the recording's not working." They came and got me. I stepped out of the room. And
so, apparently someone was watching live and somehow knew
that this isn't an interrogation. Why would anybody be watching it? It's impromptu. They're just there to pick up the car. He's just going to ask him a couple questions.
I don't know.
And,
again, now they're going to give me my laptop so they can ask me questions to ask Richard Allen during this interrogation, this accidental turned interrogation because Richard Allen turned it into interrogation because he wore sweatpants.
Yep. And took his wallet out of his pocket.
God, this fucking guy.
Looks like it's working now. And they said, well, we don't know. Go back in there. I went back in there and started interviewing. There is a delay. There's like it's a long delay. We tried to fix it the other day because of safety reasons.
The other day?
It's probably a 20.
The other day, you just decided now, the other day, to try to fix that? This was brought to your attention like a year ago?
30-second delay. So you'll say something, you don't hear it on the recording.
Well, if you know there's a 30-second delay, then you should probably keep your fucking mouth shut for 30 seconds until you know it turns on. Maybe don't even go in until it's absolutely working.
Monitor until 30 seconds later. So I went back in and started the interview. But yeah, before I did not officially read him his Miranda rights because he was not in custody. I basically told him that he was free to go and we were here to discuss.
But again, you allowed him to smoke a cigarette and you allowed him to talk to his wife and you got him some stuff to drink.
My number one question right here, if I was Lauren, would be, was his car at that police station?
Yeah, we're still waiting for that.
The items that we took and some of the items that we were going to return and some of the test results. And I asked him, do you remember being interviewed a couple of days ago by Investigator Mullen and Detective Liggett? And he said, yes. I said, so you're aware of your Miranda warnings? And he said,
but you have no receipts for any of what you're saying right now, sir.
Yeah, I said, that door's not locked. You're free to go at any time.
None of this
is
recorded.
But I'm going to stand between it and you so that you don't feel like you're free to go, which is all part of the training and the techniques.
Yeah.
Warnings, but I made sure that he was aware. And yeah, unfortunately.
And it also wasn't a couple days. It was like 2 fucking weeks.
It was 13 days.
I was not caught.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
On the recording system. It was not intentionally done. I'm not even intelligent enough to know how to delete.
No shit.
That we believe.
Fucking clip that shit and put it on a short. I'm not intelligent enough, and then you can add any fucking sentence after it.
I'm too stupid to delete it on purpose.
I don't know how to do technology.
Brought up where I interviewed a couple people up in the
listen to this.
Department of Corrections, some prisoners that heard some comments. I went there, same recording device, it's called iRecord. So the prison's very sketchy about even police officers bringing in any additional items. They don't want you to bring your cell phone or digital recorder. So I asked them, can I bring my digital recorder? And they said, no, we got a recording device. So I interviewed 3 or 4 people at the Department of Corrections. And after the interviews were over, they were going to download it on a thumb drive for me. And it didn't work. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I called the 2 or 3 of the prisoners were still out there in the waiting area. So I called them back and got a digital recorder and re-interviewed them. So it happened again. And at that time, the other prisoner went back and they were having a hard time locating him. He was actually with some services and he wasn't in his room or wherever they held him at. And they actually put the prison on lockdown. I said, I'll come back. And they said, no, you can't leave. We're on lockdown until we find him. And they weren't concerned about it. They knew he was probably at an appointment. They just took him a while, but they located it. But yeah, we had technical difficulties even up there.
But you went and re-interviewed the prisoners.
Wait a minute.
So that you could get the confessions again to make sure they were recorded. But all the interviews that were lost for the first weeks of investigation, nobody bothered to re-interview any of those people.
So just
okay, I'm waiting.
Just watch. Just
to in court about at the Delphi City. I can tell you without a doubt that Steve Mullen did not intentionally erase or lose any audio videotape statements. What happened was the system they have, it's either a key or a switch outside the recording interview room, and you turn that on, and usually in most of them a green light comes on and you know that somebody's in there recording. And then when you're done, you turn it off and there's a red light. Well, whoever went in there accidentally left it switch on, so it just rewrote over multiple interviews early on. And we weren't aware of that until, weeks or months into the
okay, was it weeks or months?
Investigation. Once we found out that happened, we owned it and we attempted to go back and locate the people that were interviewed. And if the investigator or detective did not memorialize that in a written report, then we would try to locate the people and re-interview them.
Well, if they didn't memorialize it in a written report, then how the fuck do you know who was interviewed?
They don't, because they never kept a list of it. Also, this is very different than what Mullen said. Mullen said that what happened was the recording stayed shit. I'm gonna have to go back and read that now. It was 6 months, and then once there was only a certain amount of tape on it, and so then once it just starts recording over itself.
Yeah.
So what is this whole left a light on thing?
Because the light lets you know that it's recording, but what they're saying is that people ignored this light being on for months and months and months and months, but like enough for it to overwrite itself. People allowed this light to be on and nobody thought, hey, wait a minute, isn't that supposed to be red? he's a liar. And also, he went to Westville to talk to prisoners to find out what Richard Allen said. And they just so happened to also have deleted those interviews, but it's okay because he then went back and re-interviewed them and then got the information that supposedly Richard Allen said. How the fuck do I know that that first interview wasn't Jerry Holeman being a piece of shit per usual and telling those prisoners things from the investigation that Richard Allen needs to have said? Just like Mullen, there's no recording of his conversation with Brad Weber, but there happens to then be a interview of Brad Weber where all of a sudden he is home at a different time and he's driving a van. And he also has his cell phone records, but nobody told him on the first call that he was going to need cell phone records or what he was even coming in for. He just like read Mullins' mind, like through the phone. Like, do we see where we're going here?
They're very good at only having the evidence that they needed and everything else being gone.
Yep. And people reading their minds, like, as to what they need.
And make sure that we had that on an audio videotape statement or memorialized in the report. And then later on, at the other place that we had our command center, the old RMC building, we had made several interviews there. And at some point, the audio quit working. We didn't know it until a few months or a few weeks, or when people started,
or a few years, or I don't really know because I'm just
listening to them and trying to put things together. And as long as the officer memorialized what was said in the report, some people maybe felt comfortable going back and re-interviewing, and some of them were comfortable with the memorialized information in the report. So we were able to correct most of those mistakes with the audio video, and none of it pertained towards Richard Allen. None of those mistakes were, except for the ones at DOC, were about Richard Allen's comments. But the early on,
you
mistakes,
dumb fuck.
You call them mistakes. I call them technical difficulties. But I'm telling you, if anybody knows Steve Mullen, he's the most honest guy I've ever met. I've known him for years.
The more synonyms.
He was a deputy, and he was so calm, cool, honest, and I enjoyed working with him. I didn't work with him a lot on the road, but if I ever got a call and Steve Mullen was there, I knew it was going to go smooth.
Oh, so I guess they're making the rounds, like sucking each other's dicks, because now he's got to talk about how amazing Mullen is, and he would never, ever, ever lie, and he's always been great, and he would never, and he spent all this time on the phone with the Chinese company trying to fix it, couldn't fix it, it was terrible. And then Carter's sucking this one's dick about how trustworthy. Who's going to come back around and catch Carter? Anybody? Or are we just going to let him just retire?
He's gonna live on the hot coals or whatever, hot shards or whatever he's gonna be walking on.
And I had no issues about him at all. And then we became the chief, and he's just an honest guy. And I know he feels bad, but he had no control over it. That's just things that we can't control. When technology doesn't work our way, it hurts, but it's nothing that we did intentionally. We're not withholding any information or any interviews. That
you would think at some point between 2017 and 2024 that they do a little better with technology, or maybe take the person who doesn't know shit about technology off of shit that involves technology. If Mullen can't figure out
that's like putting me in charge of all the recording, Sleuthy.
Yeah, maybe he needs a different job.
Maybe he shouldn't be the fucking chief of police or the lead investigator for the prosecutor's office. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't maybe, I don't know. Maybe he security, maybe do they have a DMV there? Maybe the DMV, I don't know. Maybe crossing guard. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he could do tickets. Maybe he could check meters.
Lose the 2-hour certification for the crossing guard. They won't even know where that certificate ever went.
Maybe he illegally chalk tires. Maybe
that we did. It just happened, and it's unfortunate, but it happens in every investigation.
Oh, really? I hope somebody looks into that.
Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that.
While we're on the topic, parched from all these lies.
Mullen was a concern, but let me jump into Sheriff Liggett. He was running for sheriff at the time Richard Allen became a suspect and was arrested. There's a lot of talk. I mean, I admit that the timing of that does not look good. There's a lot of conspiracy theory about wanting to win an election.
Oh, now Jerry, she knows you're about to be honest now, sir.
And I know that you're not Sheriff Liggett, but anything you can say there about that?
Well, yeah, I think that's ridiculous and very appalling to everybody involved.
Oh, I knew it.
I'm not corrupt. I'm not a liar. I'm a lot of things. I've been accused of a lot of things, and I am a lot of things.
And I know if you were a corrupt liar that you would just tell me.
I'm not perfect, But I can tell you that I would not jeopardize my career, and nor would Tony Liggett ask me to jeopardize my career to do something like this. And first of all, so now you got to go
Something like what, Jerry?
Something like, yeah, something like what?
back and say we purposely hid that tip before Sheriff Liggett was going to run for sheriff. He had no intention of running for sheriff when this investigation started in 2017, to my knowledge. Maybe in his mind, that was.
Let's be entirely clear. Nobody thinks you hid the tip.
Yeah,
I think it was.
This is what they do, though. This is how they
deal.
do this, and all these ragers, like the
500
channels,
people would have to be in on it.
They do that. They're just like, oh yeah, somebody went and planted Richard Allen's bullet 7 years before he was arrested. Ha ha ha. And it's like, no, you fucking idiots. That's not what anybody's saying. Nobody thinks they hid the tip. They found it, and then they made sure that everything that they did after they found this tip fit to that guy, so they could solve their case, so that Liggett could get elected. Like, but come on, like they try to gaslight you into like, you guys thinking that like what, we hid this tip just in case, Liggett was going to run for sheriff 5.5 years later. Like that's absurd. Well, no shit it is. Nobody fucking thinks that, you moron.
Yep. But that's like how stupid, I think maybe that's how stupid he is.
It was a dream of his someday, but he never said, hey, I'm going to run for sheriff in 4 to 8 years or whatever. So then now you got to come up with these ridiculous, outrageous conspiracy theories. And
this is the same man who said it was like ridiculous and outrageous and like absolutely impossible that bridge guy would have approached the girls from the south side of the bridge and then turned around on the bridge to then follow them backwards. That's preposterous to this man.
And everybody involved is very passionate about their job. So now,
and also terrible at it.
The public wants us to stop the investigation, wait until Tony wins or loses, and then arrest the guy.
No, bitch. We wanted you to arrest the person years prior when people were bringing you signed warrants and all of their investigation.
That we believe killed them. We found the information. We acted on it as best we could. And within a couple of weeks, we made an arrest.
Yes, because you made everything fit him. Yeah.
Had nothing to do with an election. I mean, that is a Republican county. And people saying, oh, he was losing. He was Republican running against an independent or Democrat. That's a very Republican county. And
I don't know, because like a lot of like Democratic states voted Republican this year for the president. So like just because it's a Republican county or whatever, Republican town, whatever he's talking about, doesn't mean that Liggett would have won no matter what.
In my opinion, I don't know, because I'm not into politics, but Republican was going to win that election, whether we found this tip and arrested Richard Allen or not. So I think it's just appalling to everybody involved, and anybody that believes that. That's just ridiculous to me. I mean, you can't make that up. That would take a lot of time, effort, and resources.
Oh, like 7 years and 10 months? Yeah.
Clear back in 2017 to stage an election in 2022. Ridiculous. It's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah, it's also ridiculous to me.
He sounds just like a YouTuber.
Talk about that, and thank you for.
Literally nobody's saying that. I agree.
But he sounds just like a YouTuber who's like super pro Richard Allen's guilty. Like that's the kind of shit that person makes up and says stuff like this, like so that you have to believe in this grand conspiracy for Richard Allen to not be the guy. And it's like it's not true. But they say it this way so that you can only feel like, well, shit, I guess if I do think that, then I must be crazy.
Yeah, it's called gaslighting.
Transparency. Also, during this interview, I want to say that a big issue with this case, I think, is the lack of transparency. Yeah, I have to admit, I feel like you're being very transparent. Before this interview, you said I have nothing to hide. The gag order's been lifted. Can you talk to us about that? Because I feel like a lot of these things that we are discussing today have to do with.
Oh, he touched his face. Did you see that? Wipe the sweat off his upper lip.
Lack of transparency or theories about this case running rampant. Anything you want to speak to about that?
Transparency is comes up a lot, and I believe in transparency. As you can see, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm not going to voice any other people's opinions on these. This is just mine. But transparency is key. But we often get put in between a rock and a hard place when it comes to protecting the integrity of the investigation. I think we thought long and hard about what information we could release. The state police has policies and procedures that we follow.
So I just want to say that I recently revisited a interview that he did many, many years ago, where he's asked why he won't release more information, why he won't release more video or audio from Libby's phone. And he says that the families don't want him to do that. And if it were his kids or whatever, that he also wouldn't want that information out. It's not, they wouldn't want it out in the public. He then proceeds to say that the family has literally asked, after multiple years, for them to release more fucking audio and video. He talks out of both sides of his face. So now we're sitting here talking about transparency and not fucking up an investigation, which I totally get. But I think it's quite clear at this point that the reason we didn't want to release it was because it was enhanced all to fuck. Not because it had anything in it that they didn't think that people needed to see. The families didn't care for it to be out. They heard and saw the video. I think it just like wasn't ready. You have to remember, people get confused about the video. They think the video came out in 20. Dude, the video didn't come out until 2019 when they changed the suspect sketch. It took them 2 years to come up with that little clip, that little enhanced clip.
And we also don't want information out there that the killer and only the killer knows. That helps us solve cases.
Oh, like what? Like maybe details about like the wounds or something? Because like Richard Allen didn't know any of that shit either. Like what exactly at this point? I don't know.
So
we're going back to the whole,
and then
only the killer would know. And yet there's still not a single confession that we know to this day that only the killer would know.
Right.
So they hid all this stuff about the investigation, according to them, because they wanted to keep, the stuff close to the vest so that only the killer would know. And yet the person they think is the killer never confessed to any of those things.
Yeah.
Order was in place. So then we can't defend ourselves or talk about the issues that people want. But, I think that the public is unrealistic thinking that the investigators.
He's talking about the investigation and not the trial. Like, okay, we get everything that you're saying right now. Okay, well, why then wasn't the trial transparent?
We're going to talk about every step of the investigation.
Because there's no transparency. It's all narrative filling.
Trial still.
They only want their narrative put out there.
Yeah.
That's why people like Jerry Holeman will only go to channels like HTC or Murder Sheet or places like that, and only have these pre-approved questions. Because it is about lack of transparency. It's about narrative forming.
Mm-hmm.
Realistic is what we did. We gave information to the media that we thought would help us identify who the killer was.
And it didn't.
And those were very strategic. And we don't like to talk about investigative strategies because we don't necessarily want the public to know what we can and can't do to find out who committed the crime.
Yeah, you didn't do shit.
Because if everybody knows that we can do this or that, then they're going to stop doing that. Obviously.
But yet he just came on this live and went through and told everybody all these interrogation techniques that they use, and talked about how people who are coming in that know they're going to jail give up their wallet and all. So now
people are saying, "Oh, I'm guilty. I know I better go in there with my pockets full.
Better go in there with my pockets full. Otherwise, they're going to think I'm guilty." Like, we don't want the public to know all of our stuff, but yet for some odd reason, Richard Allen must have known he was being arrested that day because he gave his wife his wallet.
To not allow that. And everybody knows that technology allows us to look at cell phones. So now people leave their cell phones at home. So if we talk about all the investigative strategies and
Did he just say people leave their cell phones at home?
Yeah. So what's really interesting is he better hope that he didn't clear a single fucking person because they didn't show up on the geofence or the tower dump.
But he just said that guilty people will leave their cell phones at home. When we know that one suspect left their cell phone at home unused the entire day.
For like the first time ever, went 9 hours without touching it and like posting from his 60,000 Facebook pages to little girls about 13 and 14 years old. Okay.
Evidence that we have that would violate the integrity of the investigation and make it much harder for us to solve crimes. So,
oh Lord, we can't have it be any harder than it already is for you.
I wish we could tell everything, and even now, I don't think the public is ever going to know everything about this investigation.
Because even
I wish they could. I wish everybody could come out. Not a lot of people are going to want to talk because everything I say today is going to get twisted by the defense, and they're going to say, "Oh, look, he said this. What he really meant."
The defense, what? Like the defense is not even the defense anymore. Does he understand that? Does he understand that the defense?
No, he thinks the defense is still gonna twist everything he says because he just doesn't like those defense attorneys.
It's funny because they're like the only ones that haven't spoken out since the gag order. The prosecution is the only one that has. They had an entire fucking press conference.
A lot of people are afraid to talk. I'm not. I have nothing to hide, and I want the truth to come out.
We'll see.
And the truth is, we did a very thorough investigation. We established probable cause and arrested the right person for this crime.
That's a very thorough investigation as long as you can establish probable cause. Like they don't establish probable cause like on the side of the road like every day when they stop people in their cars.
But transparency is key. But again, we get put in between a rock and a hard place, and we can only do so much.
Like your head in Doug Carter's ball.
I hear you. I appreciate you and your transparency. I feel like you have very much been transparent.
What?
You know, you mentioned that I didn't know that Richard Allen had declined a polygraph multiple times.
Now
we're
plumb back to the polygraph thing that we were at 35 minutes ago.
That's because that's what she knows. She knows about polygraphs. She doesn't understand probable cause, otherwise she would have called him out on that. She doesn't understand the read technique. She doesn't understand any of that manipulation, any of that stuff that's going on. So she's going to go back to like, oh, polygraphs. But, I thought that was weird too.
Really odd.
It was prejudicial. And that makes sense. You can't let the jury know about that. There are a couple other things I know about that weren't, you guys weren't able to, or the prosecution, I should say, wasn't able to share during the trial. One of them being a video of Richard Allen being angry in a video. Can you share what that video was and why the prosecution might have wanted to share that video, or anything else that you weren't able to share in court? That polygraph bit is interesting.
Yeah, there's probably a few things, but I don't know the trial rules, and like I should, I'm not an attorney. I know the criminal law and traffic law and investigative techniques and strategies, but when it comes to the trial rules, I learned a lot. I joke around with Prosecutor McClellan saying I'm a apprentice attorney because I've learned so much about what you can do and can't do. And because I was like, why don't we say this? You can't. It's too prejudicial, and I understand that. And I respect the judge for her decision, although I was angry that we couldn't play that video. I think the reason that we wanted to play it, and again, I'm not the prosecutor, but the reason I thought we wanted to play that video is because they were trying to make him out as, I think the term they used, a fragile egg. And
a fragile egg when he entered Westville. So because of that, you wanted to play a video from after he'd been tortured for like a year and a half and seemingly still is having issues, which he addresses in a minute, which is fucking vile. So they wanted like to show him freaking out after being tortured for an extended period of time. This freak can't even handle people talking about him on YouTube. Like, what would happen to him if he was in Richard Allen's situation?
He's not, and we thought he was faking some of those actions. So during this video at Cass County, where he probably had 3 or 4 incidents while he was at Cass County, and the one was he became very abusive verbally. He was sitting on his cot and reading the Bible, and he just broke out, had an outburst, started yelling and screaming, made a throat slashing motion, and started threatening to kill everybody, and started banging his head on the wall, punching the door.
So he can say whatever he wants.
Within seconds, I mean, he just turned into this violent human being. And I think that showed that he has that ability to lose his temper and become.
He's so specific about.
Wait, so people can just lose their temper, and that makes them murderers.
Well, he made a slashing motion with his hand to his neck. Like, again, all things that nobody can confirm. Even she didn't see it. She didn't see the video.
A monster. And then within seconds, he'd come back down, sat on the bed, and said, "No, I'm fine." They wanted to take him to the padded cell, and he was just able to control it like that.
Wow,
and I think
sure sounds like almost like a crazy person, not in control of their emotions.
That, in my opinion, is he got angry at the bottom of the hill on February 13th. The girls
at the bottom of the hill
said or did something, or something happened, and he's capable.
You mean you don't know? You investigated this very thoroughly.
Wait, now how does that make any sense? Because the guy's coming towards them, and you have it on video where nothing is supposedly happening. Nobody's angry about anything, and it's like premeditated that he went there to do this with his gun and his knife. So now we're talking about a temper.
Yeah, but he lied in wait very calmly.
Capable of doing that. He's capable of losing his control, and
I think you are absolutely.
I just think that he just makes up shit. He just makes up shit as he goes.
Yeah.
It's like, this fit this narrative, so I'm going to say this. But wait a minute. When it doesn't fit the narrative, I'm going to say, no, he was lying in wait and everything was calm. And he went there with premeditation. And, this is what he went there to do. And which is it, Holeman?
Yeah.
Is that day in killing 2 innocent teenage girls. So I think that was kind of important. But again, the judge ruled against it. It was too prejudicial. And I believe that.
Literally, she ruled against them one fucking time, and he's still, his ass is chapped, obviously.
She made the right decision. although I don't understand it, sometimes I think we should put everything out there. Same thing, I'm sure.
You think we should put everything out there except for everything that the defense wanted to talk about? None of that should have been allowed to be out there.
None of that should be out.
Please go fuck yourself.
Odinism in. While the judge ruled, the Indiana statute
Oh, he wanted the odinism in, but the judge ruled.
clearly states that you have to establish a direct criminal nexus with a third-party defense.
What does that mean, Jerry? What is a direct criminal was that what he said? Direct criminal nexus? Is that what he said?
Yeah. Yep, that's what he said.
Okay, so idiot Judge Gull said that meant that the third party's DNA would be at the crime scene. Like that was the only way they were going to prove a nexus. And everybody's like, see, they didn't prove it because there was no DNA there. There was nothing tying them to the scene. But like they failed to then still apply that same logic to the fact that Richard Allen's DNA was not at the fucking scene either. And none of the girls' DNA, no pieces of them at all, was in his car anywhere. How did he kill those girls the way that he did? Go back up to the main fucking road and walk down the road and only get seen by one person covered in blood and get in his car where he left not a single drop of blood of the girls or hair.
Did she ask him anything about the witnesses?
No.
And they couldn't do that. They had 3 days to do it. They couldn't do it.
They couldn't do it. They failed in 3 days.
And we knew that because again, we spent.
Hold on, Sleuthie. I have to drive. I have to go to the airport. So, I don't know if I should stay on because I probably won't be able to talk much.
It's 53 minutes. It's 2 a.m. here almost.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like we should do a part 2.
Probably. I think a part 2.
I'd rather stop. But don't go watch it.
I'm not going to watch it. I don't even have time to watch it. I got to go pick up my brother from the airport.
I hope she doesn't delete it.
Shit. I wish I could have downloaded. She's not going to delete it. It's worth too many views.
I'm gonna refresh and see how many it's up to.
That's worth that interview is worth too much money to delete.
It is up to 17,000 views in 5 hours. Has 2.4 thousand likes. Yeah, I'm not gonna read any of this or.
Did you leave the comments on?
I see live chat replay. I don't see where you can leave. I think so. Oh yes, you can. Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
Kathy Shank turned down a $325,000 reward. Instead, she said that the funds should be funneled into the memorial softball field and foundation established in memory of Abby and Libby. She is a good person.
Wait, what?
It's one of the comments.
Why would they give it to Kathy Shank?
Oh, you didn't know this?
No.
Because we would have never been here. We would have never got the arrest if it wasn't for Kathy Shank.
But she was working under the law enforcement umbrella. They don't get, that's their job. They don't get rewards. She wouldn't even be eligible for it.
Well, they would if the people that are holding on to the reward was ISP and they choose who they're giving it to.
That's not how that works though. She wouldn't be eligible for ISP. It.
Jerry said you don't know what you're talking about. And he doesn't lie. Ever.
Is it true that she was actually offered the reward?
I would have to see. I don't know that they formally said, "Hey Kathy, do you want the reward?" But I do know that the daughter, she's been power posting on Twitter.
Is it actually her daughter? Has somebody confirmed it?
Yeah. She's a writer.
No. Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Are we going to get a book?
Are
we at a Becky Hill right now?
I swear to God, that's immediately the name that just popped into my head.
No fucking way. Seriously?
I don't know. I don't know if we will, but I do know that she's the one that said on her Twitter that that's what her mom said. But you could tell at the press conference that that's what they were pre-moistening us. They were letting us marinate on the idea that Kathy was going to get the reward.
I don't think she would legally be eligible for it. That just doesn't make sense to me.
She was a volunteer. It's so funny because she was a volunteer.
But it doesn't matter. It's not a tip. She didn't give them a tip that led to. I mean, if anybody's going to get the tip, it would be or if anybody gets it would be Richard Allen. He's the only one who gave the information about himself.
she she testified that she was not she wasn't reading any of the reports. She wasn't she wasn't involved. She didn't know anything about the stuff that was happening. She was literally just filing. She wasn't involving herself in the facts of the case and stuff. But then she does an interview after the press conference and talks about how she's an investigator and she investigated the shit that was coming through. She found the tip and she investigated it. And it's so funny because Liggett at the press conference was like, Kathy would always bring us these things and be like, hey, did you know about this? Did you foreplay? That's the word I was thinking of. But he's like, she would come to us and be like, have you heard of this? Have you heard about this? And all the things we knew about everything except the one she brought us about Richard Allen. That's the only one we didn't remember.
What?
Yep.
I'm gonna have to look into that because I just don't see how she would legally be allowed to get it.
I don't know.
Has anybody? I'm sure somebody. There's a ton of people in chat. I'm sure people have looked into that. If she would actually be legally eligible to receive this reward. I don't know. Did I lose you?
No, I'm just. People are still trying to come up with synonyms for pre-moistened.
Pre-moistened.
They were Diddy baby oiling us to talk about the reward. It's so funny. They would come out and be like, but here's the thing. If it can't go to Kathy, then what does it do? It just sits at ISP, $325,000 and nobody's using it. I think that they probably already fucking spent it. So it had to go to one of them. So they could be like, oh, sorry. We can't have an actual person request this because we don't have it anymore. It's with the other 4 million that we spent. And nobody has a record of where the fuck we're spending all this money at. I don't know. I'm so happy to see you. I'm almost scared to let you go because
I know. Do you want to do part 2 tomorrow? We'll schedule it right now, and I'll make sure I'm around for it. Unless I end up with the flu. Other than that, I'm yours.
Oh my God.
Well, Christmas is over, so things are calming. My brother's coming back. He went to go see his kid and grandkids, and he's the one who does a lot with my mom. So I've been the one that's had to kind of take over everything to help with my mom since her surgery, and she can't really do anything on her own. So my life has just been compacted into just everything to do with family, and then gearing up for Christmas. So now that that's done, and I'm going to pick him up from the airport, I should be better off.
Those little bastards better not get you sick.
I know, right? Well, it's weird because my husband actually got sick first, which is not normal. He never gets sick
them all in one part of the house. Just you can get a doggy door or a cuff port, and just throw things in real quick. Just don't go anywhere near them. You can't have any more sickness.
Too late. I already had the little one in bed with me last night. I was the one taking care of him.
Oh my God.
My husband was still sick.
Why do we do these things? I'll be sitting there, rubbing my kid's head, and he'll get booger, he'll white boogers on his shirt. And I'm like, I'm going to get sick. But I do it anyway. Why do we do this?
We're the moms. That's what we do.
It's so weird. He said something to me the other day and I was like, no, dude, do you understand that when you were a baby, I had a tube that was connected to one end, one end was connected to my mouth and the other end was in your nose, and I would suck the boogers from your nose. He's like, that's disgusting. I'm like, how else are you supposed to get them out? You have no idea.
I picked so many boogers when my kids were little, and my mother-in-law would get so mad at me. She'd be like, what are you doing? Just get a tissue. I'm like, I can't, it's not, what am I going to do? I'm just going to get the booger out anyway. Just get the booger and I'll get rid of it.
No, those suckers, suckers or whatever. Cause babies can't
they can't pick their own nose.
So if he had boogers, he's not going to let me sit there and fuck around with his nose for 15 minutes while I try to get out this little baby nose. So they make the suckers that you they used to have those stupid little balls, and only nurses know how to work in the OB unit. They have those that never gets anything out. But then they have these other things. It's oh, you got a filter, you won't eat any boogers. But you just put it up to their nose real quick. You're and they're done. They're gone forever.
Just gets it all out.
Yep. So
In 300 feet,
boogers.
turn sharp left onto East Carson Street.
All right, we don't need we don't need to know where you are.
Yeah, you're gonna hear where I am. Sorry, I'm trying to turn off the fucking voice thing.
If Jerry's in here, I don't trust him.
Sorry.
I also don't trust that voice. I don't know who listens to the voice on the directions thing.
I don't. I normally have it off. I don't know why it's on. It's only on because I'm on with you, and then it wants to like bug me. But I normally have it off.
Weird. All right, it's 2:00 in the morning. We'll
right,
figure
go
out
to
a time for tomorrow, and we'll do it. Please be careful driving.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everybody. It's only been a year. I promise it won't be another year before we're back. Me and Trace, we're gonna figure it out.
Yes, we'll see you soon.
Oh my God, is she still on?
I know. I can't get her off. I don't know what to do. I gotta go.
Where's Jerry? We need him. We need him for this mystery. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.